Hi there, very good evening. A warm welcome, and I say warm welcome, it is sweltering here in the marquee at the Spitfire ground. It is the Kent Spitfires taking on the Sussex Sharks, bringing you this enhanced stream coverage in partnership with Cluberly. My name's Dave Fulton, former captain here, and I've got Cameron Emmanuel Burns alongside me, as he so often is. It is third against fourth, fourth against third. Spitfires in fourth, Sussex Sharks in third. And it is a beautiful day, as I mentioned here. Hardly a cloud in the sky. Friday night, the blast is back. And Cameron, we're seeing them flock into the ground for what is a crucial match. We're at the business end of this competition. 6 games remaining for Kent, and 4 of them at home. Starting with this one, how crucial could that be?
Well, huge, as you were saying. We've got this run-in coming in where we're at home. We'll need that support. It looks brilliant tonight. I hear rumours it's going to be the biggest crowd of the evening so far. People still flocking in. Weather, as you say, is absolutely gorgeous tonight. I'm a bit worried about the sun cream on, but no, need the support. Big run-in. And I think we've got a great chance, Kent, to finishing that top 4.
Yeah, they're certainly in the shake-up. With a few other sides, it is quite tight. Essex marooned at the bottom, of course, but pretty much everybody else will have aspirations of qualifying. Just to let you know what happened at the toss, Kent won it. Sam Billings opting to bowl first. We'll maybe run the rule over that in just a second. But teams to tell you about: no Wes Agar tonight. Nathan Gilchrist comes in. Remember, Kent's last match was a resounding success at Chelmsford, 100 for Tawanda Miyeye, who opens the batting as he has been all campaign alongside Daniel Beltram. And Joe Denley is at 3. Sam Billings at 4. Jack Leaning, Harry Finch, Joey Everson, Tom Rogers, Fred Clarson, Nathan Gilchrist and Matt Parkins. So nicely balanced team. As for Sussex, it's Harrison Ward, Daniel Hughes, Tom Clark, James Coles, John Simpson, the former Middlesex man who keeps wicket, of course, Tom Alsop, Danny Lamb, Nathan McAndrew, Ollie Robinson, Henry Crocombe and Tamal Mills. So Sussex, dangerous side, quite a young side, particularly in the batting. But those guys, the likes of Harrison Ward, have come on Tom Clark in the last couple of years. They've invested in them. They're starting, Cameron, to reap their rewards.
Absolutely. Similar, actually, to Kent. If you look at Miyeye, who's top run scorer in the whole tournament at the moment. I think what was interesting is you meant about the toss here, that Bilbo won it, decided to bowl first. What are your thoughts on that? Because since we've been on our travels, we had 2 resounding wins, 2 great wins against Somerset and at Essex away, where we batted first in those times and been able to defend those toes. What do you think about Bilbo deciding to bowl first?
Well, I think good sides have got to be able to win both ways, obviously, because you're not always going to win the toss. You can't always dictate how you play in terms of batting first or chasing. And I think as well as we played with those 2 games batting first, I think you made the point off camera that Kent haven't always gone so well here when batting first. So there was certainly the Gloucestershire game where we didn't get enough runs. They chased it down in fairly straightforward fashion. So that was a blip in this campaign. And Kent's campaign has been a bit up and down. We've had some really good performances. The Somerset one, the only team to inflict a defeat on Somerset, who still are top. We had some couple of cracking games against Surrey, who are second. But we've also had some poor games, that Gloucester game being right up there amongst it. So it's time, I think, with this run in these 6 games, probably got to win 4 of them to find some consistency. That's the key.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if you're Kent, you're hoping for a bit of consistency actually with the lineup. There's been a lot of injuries, especially with that batting lineup. If you think Joe Denley had a bit of a hamstring strain after the Surrey game, of course Chris Benjamin with the dislocated shoulder, and actually, I know not an injury, but Zach Crawley going away. He was by far and away our best batter at that point. Big shoes to fill. Now Denley coming in at number 3.
Yeah, well, Joe Denley is a tremendous replacement to have for Zach Crawley. I know he played earlier in the campaign, but he's been a bit in and out with injury. But he's the 2nd leading run scorer in Blast history behind James Vince. So if you're going to replace Zach Crawley with anybody, then Joe Denley will be the man to do that. And in the opening pair of Daniel Beltram and Tawanda Miyeye, you've got 2 guys coming off hundreds in the last couple of games. Beltram at Taunton, Miyeye at Chelmsford. But I think really what the faithful want to see is that kind of performance, that kind of dominant batting display, which I do think is our strength here at the Spitfire ground. Let's do it at home in front of the home fans, and no better night to do it on.
No, absolutely no better night. As you say, the 200s for our openers there, the only 2 in the tournament so far to have turned up. And the ground is looking a peach tonight, really filling up nicely. The wicket looks a nice one for batting as well, so key for our bowlers to keep them down early doors, nice and sharp starts.
So here come the Spitfire players. That guard of honour was Headcorn Cricket Club, so good to see the youngsters in their yellow t-shirts from Headcorn. And Billings with a spring in his step. He's recharged, of course, didn't take part in any of the championship action. He's a white ball man only these days from a Kent perspective, so vastly experienced and will be keen to fire himself. He's obviously, well, I say fire himself, you know, not fire himself, well, but that would be a bit drastic, but you know, fire in a playing perspective and really come to the party, because he's seen the likes of Tawanda Mie, Daniel Bell-Drummond score hundreds. He got a brilliant 100 here last year against Somerset, but it hasn't been needed as often, and when he has been needed, it hasn't quite happened for him. So I kind of think skipper's due at some stage, but first of all, they've got to do a job with the ball. So it's going to be Hughes first up, alongside Harrison Ward. So a couple of very talented young players. Daniel Hughes, left-handed batter, played all around the world. He was from New South Wales, played a lot for the Sixers, and has played in the 100 for the Southern Braves. So very familiar with conditions in this part of the world. 36 years of age now. But, Harrison Ward, his opening partner, he's come on leaps and bounds in the last couple of years. Mentioned the youth that they've invested in Sussex. Well, Ward is one of those. .25, likes to give it a whack. Got a bit of England under-19s. A couple of left-handers here. Is Fred Klassen starting up from the Nackington Road end. Nigel Long, one of our umpires today. Familiar to a lot of people in this neck of the woods. And a reminder that we'd love you to interact with us. Just going to speak to Liam and he'll tell me how people are going to interact with us. At Kent Cricket. Yep. And tickets still available, I would imagine, for some of those later games. How do people find those? Shout for that one. Tickets.kentcricket.co.uk for tickets if you want to come down. But no better spectacle than T20 blast under the sunshine at the Spitfire ground, St Lawrence.
Good start this for Klassen. Nice early shout here against Ward. He's in again for Klassen. A bit of a swish and a swat, and this one bottom edged into the ground in front of Sam Billings. He's only bowled 3 balls for Ed Klassen, but would suggest this pitch a little sluggish. Yes, I was just about to say it. Not reaching Bilbo there, the one before. Ward playing too early on that one.
Another dot ball. Good start from Klassen, and as you mentioned, again one that didn't really come onto the bat.
Oh, if it all goes wrong, there's a member of the crowd dressed up all in pads, looking ready to go with his arm guard.
He's in whites, unfortunately, as Klassen comes in. This one pulled away. That's a good-looking stroke. I think it might have gone all the way indeed. Yep. Umpire has his arms up. So Sussex are up and running, and that one pulled to good effect. Harrison Ward.
Strong
4 dots and a 6.
Yeah, strong-looking shot, that one. Been trying to pick up the pace of this wicket at the beginning of this this power play, and he's got that one away, timed nicely. I think from the last time when we were here, this is now the longer boundary compared to the other 2 games. Perhaps a bit shorter side on that leg side there for Ward.
Another decent delivery by Klassen. So good first over, just the 1 scoring shot from it, but it did go all the way. So Sussex Sharks 6 without loss after the first. Yeah, so let's just have a little look at where this 22-yard strip is in relation to the pitch, to the rest of the ground. So looking at that picture there, the flats to the left of screen, usually that's the short side, and the rope has been brought in quite a long way in front of us. We're by that floodlight top left of screen, so rope's in quite a long way. The dimensions slightly different.
Opening up
a little bit nearer the hospital side, so yeah, I'd agree with that.
Opening up from the pavilion end is our Aussie overseas, the only overseas on view tonight for Kent, Tom Rogers. He is our top wicket taker so far in the tournament with 10. I think he's also had a bit of a mixed campaign. You know, got a bit of tap in his last game against Essex. Looking for a bit of a stronger start tonight. Yeah, nicely tucked. With wicket chasing after it. Oh, it's raced away for 4 on this. Obviously, this sun-drenched outfield has absolutely raced away. I thought they were just going to get 2 there, but no, nice timing that from Aussie Hughes, and that's raced away for 4.
Yeah, Rogers against Hughes, they would have come up against each other a lot in the bash over the years. Just swinging onto the pads, and he didn't overhit it, did he? Just clipped it downhill, of course, to the Lime Tree Cafe, the Oriole Cafe. A nice start for the New South Welshman.
Appeal. No, umpire not interested at all, and it will run down. Just the one down to third man. But again, a few early appeals here. That one looked, well, we'll see on the replay. Maybe a touch high.
Well, I think the appeal just stopped them getting back for a second. I think the umpire was, the batter was looking nervously towards the umpire. And well, here we go. He's gonna...
What, another appeal? This one looks like perhaps pitching outside leg. Good start this from Rogers, good start from Kent.
Yeah, a good start, but I think he might feel he's rather missed out there than Daniel Hughes. Ball sliding down the leg side. If we look at it again, it was there for a pickup. The kind of ball you can just drop kick straight into the flats, but yeah, he rehearses the shot. Feels he's missed out there. Another appeal.
Got Finch out here patrolling this leg side boundary, and now look, they're moving out 2 onto this leg side. I think could be Freddie Klassen also joining Finch, so bringing up third man now. Back into those pads again this time. Ball does get away for 1 to Bell Drummond. I agree with you though. I feel Rogers is, I don't know if it's a plan here, but very straight to begin with to these 2 left-handers to begin with. Maybe he just needs to readjust the touch. Third appeal in the over. This one looked a touch straighter. Not given again. Leg by.
The umpire Nigel Long played a lot at this ground. He knows the slope, which goes, of course, to the leg side. So perhaps just a judging that it's going down there.
Can he hit the pads for the 4th time in the over? Oh, he's charged him. Oh, tremendous bit of fielding there from the Red Bull skipper, Daniel Bell Drummond. Superb work there, that's the standards.
Yeah, good bit of work from Bell Drummond. 14 without loss for the Sharks at the end of 2. Wrapping the batter on the pads. 2 left-handers, not something you see an awful lot. Usually teams like to go with left-right combinations if they can. Kent obviously a bit short in the left-handed department, just Tom Rogers on show. So sometimes it's nice to have that mix at the top. But these two southpaws, they like to put bat to ball. And it's going to be Freddie Klassen to continue. quick single. They're going to have to hurry, but yeah, good call in the end. Hughes gets through, but just looking to overhit. Oh, said at that first 4 that he clipped off Rogers, just leant on it. That last shot really tried to muscle it. Doesn't look like that kind of surface.
Good line this from Clarkson. Tucking Hughes up here. Interesting that no Wes Agar on this lineup today.
Yeah, not sure if Wes has got a niggle or they just preferred Nathan Gilchrist. He has gone the journey, Wes. He'd obviously played in the championship game this week. I think he bounced like 13 overs for 82. Again, a little expensive on his back of a length. And again, not timed. I don't know who's. So just some signs that this pitch is not really coming onto the back. And as a batter, opening batters have almost got to kind of assess what a good score is. You know, no point trying to force it and try and get 220 if you think that can sometimes bring about your demise. You have to assess a pitch in the first couple of overs, and actually this might be a kind of 165, 170 surface. Lassen's in again. This one is fuller, and he's punching it up to mid-on. Gilchrist does the fielding. Comfortable single. Took off straight away there, did the batter. So 16 without loss. Klassen started well. Just that one that got swung towards the hospital. Went for 6.
What you would say is it is quite an experienced batting lineup this for Sussex. You've got Hughes, of course, and Simpson, but apart from that, it'd be interesting to see these younger players try and construct an innings here if it is a bit of a slow, low one.
It's nicely played. Harrison Ward just content to play a legitimate forward defensive, just open the blade slightly, content to pick up the single as they try and come to terms with this surface. I think as well, this game coming on the back of a championship match, you just wonder how much time Adrian Long and his team would have got to work on it. It's not like when you're playing right in the middle of a block blast where you get a lot of time to roll the pitch. Going to find Finch on the cover boundary. Just a single. Another decent over from Klassen. 18 without loss, the Sharks.
That's a very good point you make there. Obviously, it's cricket week here at Kent. We've had the women playing last weekend, and of course the county championship game during the week against Northamptonshire. So this wicket, this square, I guess, has been used a lot over the last week, and of course the baking sun. So I guess not such a surprise. It's a bit on the slow side. Well, we will now see Nathan Gilchrist replacing Tom Rogers from the pavilion end. Struck the pads once more from that end. This time Gilchrist coming round the wicket to Hughes. Imagine it's drifting down. Flicked off the pads nicely. Top work from Harry Finch on the leg side boundary. They quickly scamper back for 2, but again, not overhitting that one, just clip off the pads. The seamers from that end just drifting off into these 2 left-handers pads quite consistently at the beginning here. A good bit of fielding that from Harry Finch on the boundary.
Yeah, I think what they're doing is trying to give no width to the batters. So the 2 men are stationed on the leg side boundary, both behind square. Finch the square of the 2. So yeah, just looking to bowl with no width, and if you get clipped to those 2 men.
Strong shot this time. And Hughes there on one bounce forward into that leg side boundary. Yes, as you say, not giving width to be cut away through that offside, but they've had enough practice now on their pads, and this time Hughes has clipped that one away nicely for 4.
And that is the flip side of that particular coin, of course. Yeah, you get too straight and they start to work out what the plan is, and then they get hold of one down the hill and down breeze.
Again, Hughes not really picking up the speed of the wicket when it is pitched halfway down, playing through the pull shot way too early there. Another leg bye to the total. Pulled away, just on the bounce to Finch. Still a pretty tidy start this for the Kent Seamers, 26 for none.
It's always a question, isn't it? Would you rather be 26 for none as a batting lineup, or kind of 45 for 2, something like that? Go harder, but you lose a couple of wickets. I think Kent would be pretty happy here.
Drifted again onto the pads, this time easily turned away for 4. Just brought up the fine leg as well. And yes, Hughes took full toll. That's 30 for none after the first 4. It's interesting because we saw, of course, Hampshire here a few weeks back. They went hard in that power play and lost, I think, 3, which really did hamper their chances of getting that big total, which Kent were able to chase down quite easily. So I imagine Sussex will be perhaps the happier of the 2 at the moment.
Yep, you could be right. Just a reminder of where Kent sit in this South Group table. Currently 4th. So Somerset on 28 points. Remember, you get 4 for a win these days. They've won 7, lost 1. That was to the Spitfires. Surrey on 24 points. Have played 8, won 6, lost 2. Then comes Sussex, who have played just 7. A game in hand on the top 2, and indeed Kent. They have won 4 and lost 2, with 1 no result. And Kent have played 8, won half of their matches, lost 3. That game against Middlesex. And he's bowled him, I think. That is straight away. Jack Leaning into the attack, and the change of bowling has worked for Sam Billings and the Spitfires. So that's the end of Ward. He goes for 11. What a bowling change. Jack Leaning into the attack, and he strikes straight away.
Superb that from the skipper Billings, taking the pace off the ball. Leaning, who last game, of course, wasn't picked in that county championship game. First instance back in the side, takes a wicket. Tremendous start.
Well, they talk about matchups all the time in 2020 cricket, and that's why Jack Leaning has been introduced, because there are 2 left-handers. They're getting the ball to turn away. Statistically, that's much better than having the ball turn into the batter. And if you think how they have been operating, flicking a lot to the leg side, suddenly they've got the ball turning away. Just to see if this one turned. Quite sure how it bowled him. He gave himself so much room to try and access the offside. I think he went too far. So good bit of bowling from Leaning, who saw him back away, and Harrison Ward has gone. And that brings another lefty on to strike. So Tom Clark, full of left-handers. Kent full of right-handers. Sussex have started with 3 southpaws at the top. And Leaning's in again. But, just a suggestion that it may be just sticking in this pitch, not really skidding through, makes batting tricky. Always chip a catch back to a bowler when you first come in and the ball's not quite coming on. This is an aggressive start from Clark. Don't waste any time these days in 2020. Have a little look at the first one. He's down the track and he's smacking Leaning just straight off mid-off. It was a catchable height, but it was straight of Freddie Klassen, and he gets his first boundary. So just a reminder of that table. So Kent in 4th, and then Glamorgan and Hampshire in 5th and 6th. Middlesex in 7th, all within striking distance. A couple of points behind Kent, Glamorgan, and then Hampshire a couple of points further back. This one's short and is cut, and that is not Jack Leaning's best delivery. That's what he's got to guard against. And that is, in fact, what Harrison Ward was trying to access that boundary. Tom Clark found it because it was a bit of a long hop.
Captain's killer that one is. Billings just bringing in the sweeper after the shot down the ground. Finch coming in, and of course the very next ball goes straight to where he was.
It's going to be a wide down the leg side. Yeah, so Kent have 6 games remaining, 4 at home, crucially I think. In the 2021 campaign, they started with 3 at home, they won all 3. This one tucked around the corner, scamper a single. So yeah, handy to start with 3, get off to a bit of a flyer, make use of home advantage, but might be very handy. Somerset, Middlesex and Essex. So Somerset might well be qualified by then. Of course, there's often the incentive of finishing top of the group and home quarter-final. He's leaning it again. Down the wicket. That's a lovely looking shot. Got a good piece of this, and it's over extra cover, and it's gone all the way. That is 6. Daniel Hughes showing his pedigree. Yeah, but the finishing of Somerset, 3rd from last, then Middlesex and Essex. Middlesex not really been too successful in 2020 cricket, and Essex, who have had their moments over the years, rock bottom, yet to win a game. Played 8, won 0. So you think, I mean, they might have a win in them because they're not a terrible side by any means, but you're down the bottom for a reason. So Kent finish with Middlesex and Essex, 2 of the weaker sides you'd suggest. No disrespect to them in this South group. Be a nice run in.
Well, if you're a Kent side, you're looking at that home advantage. Like you say, teams down near the bottom, hoping to take full advantage there. Rogers coming on to finish the power play off here at the pavilion end. Once again, drifting on to those pads, and it's going to race away for 4-leg buys. By my reckoning, that's 5 balls out of his 7 so far have hit the Sussex batters' pads. Interesting how many left-handers the Sussex side have. If you look down the order, you've got Tom Alsop, Simpson, I believe, is it a lefty?
Yeah,
as well?
Alsop,
Yeah.
Simpson, so yeah, loads. And you think what Kent would give for a left-hander. Also, they've got
Yes.
Jaden Denley, who's been playing championship cricket. Not in this squad, but not a million miles away. He's a left-hander. Tom Rogers is a left-hander, not many others.
Again, down that leg side, this time not hitting the pads, but oh. Bit scrappy that for Kent, the wide, and then coming through for a single.
Yeah, Billings must have had a shot at the stumps, I think. He struck them. The ball ricocheted, they picked up another run. So good thinking from the batters, and Sam Billings well within his rights to try and throw down the stumps, of course. What was a sluggish start is now looking like a pretty decent one.
Nicely timed that from Hughes, once again going over the top, and that will race away for 4 on this quick outfield. Yeah, they're going to make hay of this final over.
Yeah, it's always the way in the power play. You maybe have an over or 2 just to take a look. I mean, sometimes everything you hit, the ball just disappears. But quite often, particularly on a surface like this, where it looks like you just need to spend a few balls getting in. You know, you tee off at the first one, put it straight up in the air, and they've done that quite cleverly. Got themselves in, got accustomed to the pace of the pitch, which I think is a slightly tired one, and then capitalise.
High up on the bat, lack of timing, but absolutely no one there. Everyone out deep on the leg side, and they'll stroll through for a single. Beat for pace, a touch there.
Yeah, that one might have got through a little bit quicker, so maybe even a touch too pace this surface, or maybe just an effort ball from Tom Rogers. The only man on the ground who could have caught that was the square leg umpire. It's not the done thing,
Yeah,
but
didn't
that's where it drops. Joey Everson back on this deep square fence. He's never going to get to it.
Audaciously looking for the scoop there with no one back, third or fine from Clark, missing out. What is going to be interesting is, I think Kent's strong suit with the ball, at least when we've been watching, has been when you've been coming out of the power play. Parkinson, Everson's did particularly well in the last few games. I know Grant Stewart isn't playing tonight, but he's done well. Interesting how Parkinson goes with all these left-handers.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, he's got a wrong one. He might have to use it a bit.
Clark will get through for a single to... Oh, one more ball, sorry. Still can't get through this power play.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised to see Leaning kept going with these lefties. Parkinson will play a part regardless of left-right, but I have seen Sam Billings sometimes ignore his leg spinner when there have been left-handers there, because I say he likes these matchups with the ball turning predominantly away. Just trying to think who else can bowl a bit of part-time off-spin.
Once again, Fuddy into the pads this time. No appeal from the Kent side, and that will finish Sussex Sharks. Power play 58 for 1. I think they'll be the happier of the two sides.
Yeah, 58 for 1. I think you always divide a 20-20 game up. There's the power play, which obviously you hope will go well, but this is your bread. You know, games can be lost in the power play from a batting perspective. You can find yourself kind of 30 for 5 and game done. So Sussex have negotiated that and put on a decent start, but it's by no means game, set and match. 58 for 1. This is where the real kind of game gets going now. Fielding restrictions relaxed. And in fact, it's going to be Joey Everson. I think Leaning might get another go with the fielders back. Maybe he will bowl from the other end. This is Everson, who's had a good couple of weeks in all forms of the game. Tucked into the leg side. This be a single. Yeah, look at championship games for Joey Everson. And, spent a bit of time in the middle, so it'd be interesting to see. Bat's quite low down in this Kent Spitfire blast order. Most important job to do is with the ball, but I just feel that he's got a bit to offer with the bat as well in this form of the game. He can really crunch it. Strong looking shot from Hughes. Leaning is at long off and round he comes, and he prevents the second run. Good bit of work.
Yes, Everson's been vital in those two championship games for us. In that final innings, really being the glue. Obviously, that remarkable innings from Grant Stewart up at Lancashire, but it was Everson who hung around. I think we'll be needing a bit more bashing from him if he gets out to bat today. But yeah, last season he showed his potential with the bat in particular. Had some really good important innings this year. Injured for the first part of the tournament, so just working his way into it now. But like you say, he's had a good 2 championship games under his belt, so looking forward to see how he goes tonight.
He's a dangerous customer, albeit in the last championship game it was a kind of match-saving type of knock he played, but it always looks to me like he needs a few balls to get in T20 blast. He doesn't have a lot of time down the bottom end. This was off-pace delivery, clipped into the leg side, just be the single. I think, I forget which game it was. Hampshire? I can't remember. Maybe Surrey. He came out and he just couldn't quite get going. Just took a little bit of time. Might have even been Gloucester, I think.
I think that's one thing this Kent side has been lacking a touch in the last couple of years. Are those batters that can go from ball one.
It's a nice looking shot. Tom Clark finds the boundary despite the best efforts on that long on fence. It's Klassen out there diving away, sprawling on the rope, but yeah, just using his feet down the wicket, giving himself a little bit of room to free the arms. Wasn't a bad delivery by any stretch, but bisected those two men. So boundaries keep on coming. Sharks just finding them when you feel when they've needed a boundary. These batters have just been able to find one. He's opened the blade. They get a couple this time. Finch does the fielding. It's nicely angled away on Tom Clark. What I would say though is that even though they found the boundary, there hasn't been that kind of gunshot sound off the bat that you're so often used to hearing in T20 cricket. So I think they've muscled them a bit. They've picked the gaps quite well, but they still haven't really timed it. There's nothing that's gone off the bat that you thought, crikey, it's gone like a bullet.
I wonder how much the pitch has to do with that. It's been interesting to see how often they've gone to using their feet to try and put a pace on the ball. Even in that last over, that four's come from Clark giving himself that bit of energy, but it will be Parky after his amazing 5 up at Essex, coming on from his favourite pavilion end, bowling to these two left-handers. I think he's pretty comfortable. He enjoys bowling here in Canterbury, and especially from that end. Bilbo will be looking for him to make a breakthrough here. Yeah, use of the feet straight away, getting it on the full, smashing it away there, Hughes for 4.
That was a real loosener for Matt Parkinson, wasn't it? It was tossed up, he was down the pitch, met it on the full. That was a bit help yourself. It's not an easy art leg spin, and Parkinson, as good as he is and as good as he was in the last game, just needs to find his feet here. Yeah. More like it.
Well, as you know, you're facing Parkinson, you know it's going to be a bit slow, a bit flight. Here's probably a candidate to try and use your feet too if you can.
Well, the key to playing spin really is picking length, and yes, using your feet. And sometimes using your feet, people think, oh, it means coming down the wicket. Sometimes using your feet means actually getting really deep in your crease. And where he's quite slow, Parkinson, if he doesn't find the right length, or you second guess him a bit, nicely bowled, just a single. But if he's a fraction short, bowling at his pace, and you get right back, you've got all the time in the world to pull and cut. And then you mix that up with the old dance down the wicket. You're trying to keep him guessing as a bowler.
Once again, Hughes using that feet, dragging it this one to Rogers down there at long on. But yes, especially on a slower wicket, I guess, you're able to use your feet and get back, create that shorter length. Vital. This one is a strong shot, timed nicely from Clark, and it's gone into the crowd. That's a pretty big shot from that end to go for 6.
Yeah, cracking shot. We talked about the sound off the bat. That's the first one that sounded like a real gunshot. Just in the slot for the slog sweep, and he nailed that into the crowd. Like you say, decent hit. Strong man Tom Clark, former England under-19 player. Warming to his task here. 25 off 13 he now is, 192 strike rate.
Yeah, Parkinson going to his leg spinner there and going away from the googly and got punished. This pair do seem to be going well. They're milking the decent deliveries for the singles and hitting the loose ones away to the boundary. Ominous signs this for Kent.
Yeah, change of ball as well, so I don't know what happened to that one. It might have been bounced into the hedge and hasn't been found. So certainly Nigel Long calling for the box. He might have found it. Yeah, surprised Leaning hasn't had a go from that end.
Thought about single there, not on. Good bit of fielding there from Joey Everson at the 45. Now we'll finish over 10. They're going at 10s here, 81 for 1.
Yeah, decent over from a Sharks perspective, and this match up with the ball turning in. Jack Leaning, I think, is being summoned. He might be just being moved. I'm just watching him run here, as you're seeing on your screen. Pictures of the scatter blast where volunteers from the community team run around and throw T-shirts at people. So it's supposed to be a kind of generous act of giving away T-shirts, but suddenly, some of them have got quite good arms. So if you're in the crowd ever, just keep your eyes peeled for a rolled-up T-shirt coming your way. Want to get that on the end of the nose.
He could chuck me some sun cream. That'd be great. Absolutely roasting in here.
So here is Jack Leaning from the Nackington Road end, just bowled the one over. Not a surprise to see him operating with these two lefties at the crease. So he's clipped into the leg side, I think about 2, and they're only going to get 1. Miaye very sharp on that deep mid-wicket fence. So Leaning, the successful bowler so far, bowling Harrison Ward back into the attack. I think this is the right move. Tell you what though, Clark has gone slog sweep again and he's nailed it, and Miaye is a long way back there at deep mid wicket. It's pretty equidistant, these boundaries. That one into the breeze though, and just for a second Miaye was interested, but good choice of club, as they say in the golf game.
I think his heart was in his mouth there a touch. Miaye was interested for a while there, but yeah, he's going over his head.
It's time on the back foot. He's pulling to deep mid wicket, in fact to long on. Lassen does the fielding, just a single.
You'd imagine this is the right end for Leaning, Nackington Road end, using that slope, looking to turn it away from these left-handers.
That was a beautiful sweep shot. He's just picked the gap, bisected deep mid wicket and backward square, and the Sharks beginning to motor here. Clark's been hitting the 6s and Hughes becoming more fluent by the minute. He's 41 off 23, 93 for 1, and leaning suddenly under the pump.
That takes Hughes to his top score of the tournament so far. So much experience, but he only had 38 before this. He's coming into this game in some red hot form. We got 150 against Warwickshire in one of the championship games.
You nick that? No buys, so a bit of untidy work that from Sam Billings. Umpire signals buys, just not sure if he thought it had bowled him.
Interesting to see if this one turned.
Well, if it turned, or if it just missed off stump, or he couldn't quite believe it, Daniel Hughes had missed it. Just Sam Billings, a man of his experience, but sometimes that can happen when you're captaining. Oh, I just missed leg stump, I think. So leaning completely over. So expensive one from a Spitfire perspective. Sharks playing the spin pretty well here. I thought it would be a real factor on this sluggish surface. Bit of Parkinson, bit of leaning against the left-handers. But the Sharks haven't really minded. And they are motoring 97 for 1 off just the 9. So 10.8 the run rate so far. But yeah, just going back to Billings and those buys, and sometimes when you're thinking a lot about your field changes and your field placements rather, and your bowling changes, you can sometimes forget to do the basics and kind of catch the ball, and it only just missed leg stump.
Yeah, hard job this, captaining and wicket keeper, and you know Billings is a bit of a character, whirling around, always giving instructions. Everson back on. Oh, coming down towards us, and I think that one's gone away for 6 as well. Again, too straight. The seam is from that end. Drifting onto these left-handers' pads, and Clark has timed it nicely away here. Down to our position here at fine leg, and it's gone away for 6.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you. It looks like a bit of a plan where they've kind of gone, we're not going to give any width. But when the pitch is slow, that's when you can bowl a little bit wider, because it's harder to hit through the offside. Better delivery. But even that's gone on the leg side, and when wickets are slow, you tend to drag things as a batter to the leg side. So you want them ideally trying to play through extra cover and play through cover point. And where Kent have been straight, they've been able to just swing things away to the leg side. So it might have been a kind of preordained, we don't give these batters width because they like width, but maybe not on this surface.
Once again, I'm hit straight to leading on the bounce. You often see it during the power play, a ploy going nice and straight. You can put your 2 boundary riders on the leg side and try and tuck them up that way. But as you say, with the field spread, a bit of a slow deck, you'd imagine they could be using their slower ball cutters, perhaps digging into the wicket, getting outside that hitting arc.
This one is nudged into the offside. I don't think he was aiming it there. It's again a suggestion that the ball just holding in the pitch.
Squared up a touch there, it seems.
Yeah, maybe. What I think can happen is that you can benefit sometimes when you're out there, when you do bat first. You know what's harder to play, what's easier to play, so that'll get fed back to the Sussex Sharks bowlers.
Good bit of timing this time. Rogers, no, just over him. Again, the use of the feet there from Hughes. Climbing right into that one and down towards the pavilion. 6 again. Another big over this for Sussex.
Yeah, Sharks playing nicely here. I mean, it's not a bad delivery by any stretch. I mean, he's got the man back at long on, and Everson's bowling to his field. But so we see the wicket. In fact, we see the buys again on the previous over. But Dan Hughes playing lovely. Experienced campaigner, used his feet, just hit it over his head. He's bowling this time. That is the end of Hughes. It's gone for 48. Good revenge from Everson. Hit for 6. That time the slower ball, the off cutter. Hughes looking to pull it away, misses. So still yet to reach 50 in this year's campaign. Better effort from him though. 48. He's got the Sharks off to a flying start, but they're now 112 for 2.
Yeah, crucial that for Kent. Hughes was looking increasingly dangerous. Again, looking to play off the back foot. One didn't really get up, scooted through. The old adage, you miss and we hit. Excellent that for Kent. Gonna believe this will bring in now Coles, who is the in-form man for Sussex at the moment. He comes in off the back of hundreds in both county games, I believe, and also got the most runs for them in the tournament so far for Sussex. But the first right-hander.
Yeah, right-hander. So, but I mean, that's not altogether that useful because they've still got a left-hander at the crease. So now they've got a right-left combination. But yeah, James Coles, good player, good young player. And as you mentioned, in really good form in this competition and in the championship. And as you say, hundreds the last couple of weeks. And yes, it's a different format, but it stands you in good stead as a batter. You just spent time at the crease. You feel confident about your game. You're striking it nicely. You're moving well. So yeah, hundreds in the championship can really help. Hopefully it'll help some of the Kent lads too. Bit of time at the crease. You mentioned Joey Everson earlier, even though it was batting out for a draw in that last championship match. It's a good time in the middle. So, change of ends for Parkinson.
Interesting, don't normally see Parkinson from the Nacton Road end. Maybe with the right-hander coming out, it's convinced Billings to go to his leg spinner.
So talking of spinners, we're going to have Min Patel coming in at the end of the over. Vastly experienced left-arm spinner, 630 first-class wickets for Kent, 35 wicket hauls. Championship cricket, and turned away into the leg side. Maybe a single.
Just to pick up on a point you raised just a moment ago about those who've had good innings in the county staff coming into this game with a bit of form. Kent in their, obviously in their top four, they've got Billings and Denley. Denley, who's come a bit of an injury, decided to take those games a bit of a rest. But do you think it's good? They've come in a bit refreshed, or been good? You know.
Well, I guess we'll find out. I mean, I think what I'd say about the likes of James Coles getting hundreds in the championship, young man, spending time in the crease, useful. Denley, Billings, they're experienced campaigners. This one is chopped away. It's going to be the single to Finch at deep point. So they know what they need to do to get ready. And if you think of Sam Billings, well, both of them are pretty experienced playing franchise cricket all around the world. Certainly with someone like Sam Billings, who's been prolific in terms of the amount of teams he's played for. He can go from place to place and turn it off, turn it on. That's the modern cricketer. I tell you what, that is a hell of a shot. When you've just walked to the crease, you face one delivery, it's tossed up above the eye line, and he had to stretch for it, and he kind of almost top spun it back over Parkinson's head. A little flicky drive. That is a shot of a man in form.
Yes, as a Kent fan, it's a bit of a worrying start. That looked superb.
Crikey. He has gone 4-6, James Coles. He is in rare touch indeed. That is 10, 15 yards over the rope. It'll be really interesting to get Min Patel's thoughts. We're going to get him in now. Cameron will just make way, just for the time being, and we'll welcome Min to the microphone. It's Coles starting 11 from 3, just a single off his first ball. Min, welcome, good to have you with us.
Thanks, Dave, pleasure to be here.
But yeah, we were just talking about James Coles, leading run scorer for the Sharks in this competition. He's got hundreds in each of the last 2 championship games in the form of his life, and he's come out and he's hit Parkinson back over his head for 4 and then slog sweep for 6.
Well,
it's a good start.
That 4 was an extraordinary shot. Nowhere near the pitch of it, just put his hands through the ball, second ball in. Extraordinary piece of timing, really.
So here's Everson round the wicket to the left-handed Clark. Big shout, but just on the angle with the slope, that's not going to be given. Yeah, I mean, I just wonder from your perspective, I mean, you played not much T20 cricket, but certainly a lot of limited overs cricket, and I know the game's moved on a little bit. You toss one up above the eye line now, you just go out the park, don't you? But it's Parky's way, isn't it? It's a kind of big field, and he likes to kind of sometimes just do them in the flight. But the batters don't need any second invitation. If it's up there, they whack it.
Yeah, it's a risk-reward thing with Parky. On his day where they get hold of him, he can go, but 5 for at Chelmsford shows when it's working for him.
This is, I thought just for a second there, Coles had whacked it straight back at Joey Everson. It's going to be the one to long off. He has a good point, because you think spin at Chelmsford is tiny ground, isn't it? you know, but you toss it up, and we had a lot of runs to play with. But yeah, you get 5 for one day as a spinner, and you get smashed all around the park the next day. That's the lot of a 2020 spinner sometimes.
Yeah, and look, when you're coaching 2020, it's almost trying to get the bowlers to take away the numbers at the end of the day. It's about how many times can you execute that skill. You've got 24 opportunities to execute a skill, and the good bowlers will do it on 22, 23 occasions, really.
Just Billings is in there. He's hit the stumps, and for the second time today, that's cost Ken a run, which always seems a little harsh. But yeah, Tom Clark just slipped a bit there, so Billings had a shy. Yeah, it's a good point you make in terms of executing your skill, because all you can do as a bowler is try and do what you want to do. And if the batter's good enough and whacks it out the park, but you've landed it where you've wanted to, with the amount of revs on it that you wanted to, with the trajectory that you've wanted to, you can't do a lot more. Once it's left your hand, it's kind of, you can't drag it back as it's on its way down.
And that's the point. If you deliver your skill past that, the batsman's reacting to it. And if I've bowled many good balls where they're meant to have gone out the park, and I've bowled some bad ones that have got wickets. So
always bowled him. So that is the end of Coles. We were waxing lyrical about his start to proceedings, but Everson has him. One that just looked like it nipped back, and perhaps just trying to hit through the line of the ball on the up on what we said is a slightly tired surface. Looks a little sluggish anyway. We're 120 yards away down at third man here, so and the Sharks have gone okay, but it just looks like it's not quite coming onto the bat for the quicker men.
No, I think look, I think let's as the ball gets older, I mean, we don't really want to be chasing much more than 180 if we possibly can, but at the moment you'd say Sussex would be disappointed with anything under 200 really. So Tom Rogers and co have got a bit of work to do to claw this back, and wickets always help.
Yeah, it looked like it might have even just stayed down a fraction. It could have been a slightly off-pace delivery. He's got a few tricks up his sleeve. But yeah, Cole's just trying to stand up and hit that one back past him. Looked like he went over the top of it. But certainly a talented player, as much as I've enjoyed seeing the 4 balls he faced, because he looks a player.
There is a lot of young talent. Yeah, there's a lot of young talent at Sussex, to be fair. You've got the young spinners in Coles and Carson. You've got Clark, the batter. And you've got some guys behind that. Archie Lennon, we haven't seen a lot of from when he burst onto the scene.
Ibrahim as well.
Danny Ibrahim, yeah, Charlie Terre, Leon Cachet. So Sussex are producing them. It's about how can you fit them all into the first team.
Well, we're just remarking about the number of left-handers that they've got as well, which obviously we're a bit short of left-handers, haven't we? We've got Tom Rogers, I think, is the only one. Jayden Denley, of course, has played in the Championship, but doesn't get much of a look in at T20 at the moment, at least.
No, and I actually think that's quite a sizable handicap when you're playing this format, really.
Well, I guess as Alsop is away, yet another left-hander. So of the batters we've seen, I'll tell you what, that's a good run. 2 straight away for Tom Alsop. He's a dangerous customer. There's John Simpson to come. I suppose the argument is, from a Sussex perspective, you can have too many left-handers, because ideally you want a healthy mix, don't you? Access short boundaries, make it hard for spinners who can't always, ideally would like to turn it away from a batter. So you've got left-right combination that can be useful. As we see Everson again here, Alsop turning that into the leg side. Bill Drummond fields there's no run.
Well, I thought Jack Leaning was going to be on for a really good day with his first ball and the off spin against the multiple left-handers, but then decided to go and see the boundary a few times. So he's 2 overs for 28, Jack Leaning. But you've also got Mayeye, which I don't know if Billings is willing to roll the dice on that one. So, but Mayeye's not the worst off spinner.
Yeah, he's turning back to the pace at the moment. Nathan Gilchrist. I just think it looks to me, and as I say, we're 100 odd yards away and squarish of the wicket down at third man. But with the seamers, when they hit a length, it doesn't really look like it's coming onto the bat. So they've kind of chanced their arm against the spin, and it's paid off for them. You know,
certainly, Freddie Clarson's first couple of overs, I thought, to David Hughes and Tom.
That is worth a shout. He's given him. Yep, that is the end of Tom Clark. Played beautifully for 43, just trying to that pick up scoop. And the umpire had the finger raised. So
I do think you're right, Dave. This wicket it's not flying through. I think even with the new ball, there was some that sort of scudded under, trying to cut Freddie Clarson up front and bounced twice through to Billings. So yeah, look, I think the evidence is there. So it makes it even more imperative. I think Kent are not chasing much more than 180, really.
Yeah, and of course, as I was talking with Cameron, the advantage of batting first sometimes I mean, it works both ways, doesn't it? You bowl first. As a batter, you know how the surface is playing. But the bowling side, the side that bowls second, you know, they will have spoken. The bowlers will have spoken to the batters. The batters will say, look, off pace is working today, or if you hit a certain length, it's working, or you just tuck it away outside off stump. So that those messages get fed back, and it can help the side that bowls second.
Most certainly, and they've actually got some seamers that are really adept at the off-pace stuff as well as two high-quality spinners in Carson and Coles. So look, yeah, the signs are pretty tricky for Kent, really, if they let Sussex get away from them in the last 4 or 5 overs.
But the good news is they've taken a couple of wickets. Hughes has gone, and Clark has gone, and that little cameo from James Coles has been ended as well. So 3 quick wickets, 130 for 4. Simpson on strike, the new batter, former Middlesex keeper, and he is defending this solidly old school style like that, bit of back foot defence. Just have a look at the first one. So 2 new batters who've got to get themselves going, and it looked tricky to start, that's what I would say. Not for James Coles, who's in rare touch. He started beautifully with a 4 and a 6, but certainly for the opening batters, it took him a few balls to get used to the pace and bounce in this surface. Gilchrist round the wicket from the Nackington Road end. And once again, that kind of length, straight. I just thought they were a little bit too straight, particularly bowling from the pavilion end. There was a lot that was hitting our direction down here, kind of clipped and picked up off the pads and pull shots.
Yeah.
Just looked like that was the plan, to bowl straight, when actually the wicket might have been more of a kind of just bowl at the top of off kind of surface.
I also think because this pocket seems to be the bigger pocket, they've probably targeted trying to bowl into the hips of the left-handers, and we know now if even miss-hits can clear these kind of 70, 80-yard boundaries.
Gilchrist going to have to bowl that one again. It's down the leg side. Yeah, and it's interesting because the rope has been brought in quite a long way. It's we have moved a couple of pitches towards the indoor school, the hospital side of the ground, but the rope is usually back against these boards, and it's been brought in good 20, 25 yards from the boundary board. So mistimed again, but Simpson is away with that pull stroke, 2 deep square. So yeah, just wonder whether that's a deliberate tactic. I mean, it's the kind of thing that does get talked about, in it? Dimensions of a ground. Do we make it big? Do we shorten it up? But you know, you've got Parkinson and Leaning and possibly a Denley. Maybe you think you push the rope out? I don't know.
You're also looking at the pockets, particularly if they've got an overabundance of left-handers versus our right-handers. Are we actually looking to make their mid-wicket pocket smaller? So there is that kind. It's not gamesmanship per se, but it's actually trying to play into your favour as much as you can.
Yep, that attention to detail, those little 1%ers, they can be the difference between winning and losing. These games are so often decided by just a run or two. The boundary dimensions and matchups can prove crucial. So Simpson is 1 off 3, Allsop 3 off 3. Sussex Sharks looking to rebuild after the loss of those 3 quick wickets. They're still handily placed. It is another one that is missed time. So good over this from Nathan Gilchrist, and I think this is the way to go. And Sam Billings is a very experienced captain. I'm not sure how much of the spin we're going to see, or whether he just goes, you know what, we're going to go medium fast, we're going to go into the surface. Certainly be the way I'd be looking to go, I think.
Yeah, I mean, to his credit, Joey Everson's also been a fantastic bowler for us in this format. It's not a format you'd ordinarily say that someone like Everson, whose pace and, you know, doesn't really have that much of a change-up kind of option, but he's naggingly accurate with his stuff and makes it hard. You've got to put the pace on with Joey, and he's been a really good bowling asset for Bilbo in the last couple of years.
Well, I think if you look at around the traps, the likes of Benny Howell, I mean, he's probably not got the same number of tricks as a Benny Howell, but he's that kind of bowler. Probably got a yard or 2 on him in terms of pace. As this one is edged, and it's going to go for 4, I think, just going to get to the rope in time. So again, on a slightly lower bounce, I don't think that carried to Billings. No chance of a catch, but that's unlucky. It's Joey Everson. It's
quite hard to tell in their vantage point with the sun. I don't know.
I have said this for the last couple of years. Is they put us with the sun looking straight into our eyes. It gets roasting hot, and you can't see a thing at times. But we'll do our best to bring you the coverage.
I actually think that might have carried. I don't know.
And that was a slower ball. That was a big, slow off-cutter. Pick that one from here. It's one thing picking it. You've got to do something with it. So another dot ball. Everson bowling nicely.
I think it's a really good passage. Last 3 since the wicket, I think since the wicket of Coles, I think it's been a really good passage for Kent. And it's just, you don't want that one release over. We know, you know, Dave, the momentum swings so massively on the back of 1 over where it goes for a double-digit 15 or so.
On pulled away to long on, just the single. No Wes Agar. Is that because of a niggle, because of workload, or because he just really hasn't quite fired in this competition? He's been a bit expensive, hasn't he, across all forms?
Wes has had some really good outings, but he's also had a couple of games where he has gone the distance a little bit. But I think today it's also been a policy to rotate. Freddie's missed out the odd game. Wes has come in and out, so has Tom Rogers. So I think it's part of Bilbo's policy, really, to just keep them as fresh as he can.
Nasty bowl from Everton. This one pushed up to long on, and I guess he's coming off not an excessive workload in the Championship. I think he's bowled 13 overs in that second innings for 80 odd. So again, a little expensive, but he's still playing Championship cricket, which of course Rogers isn't doing. So you'd expect Tom Rogers to be preferred to him for a game like this when he's coming off the back of 4 days. And it's not easy for the players to go 4 day, and then suddenly back into the second half of the T20.
Absolutely, and actually now we're into this. Go on, I'll let you commentate on the shot.
That's all right, just pull around the corner for a single.
Yeah, so look, we go to Cardiff tomorrow. I'll play on Sunday, and I think, look, giving him a couple of days of real feet up time, be fresh for Cardiff. I think we'll see Wes Agar back into the fold on Sunday, and hopefully we get down to Cardiff with this win under our belts and right in the mix for qualification, really.
Yeah, I was talking to Cameron about 6 games remaining, 4 at home, including the last 3. As this is swung around, it could be out, it could be 6, it's 6. Yeah, I just thought for a second Jack Leaning was going to be interested there. John Simpson swivelling on that one. That's his first maximum. And I thought Leaning was going to be in the game with one of those catches where you run along the rope and you dive, and you think Jordan Cox in the final at Edgbaston, that kind of manoeuvre. But all to no avail as it flew over his head. But no, the last 3 games. So we've got Sussex tonight, Cardiff you mentioned on Sunday. We then go to Hove on Wednesday, and then 3 games to finish things off. Friday, Sunday, Friday. Somerset, Middlesex, Essex, and Essex have already been the whipping boys in this year's competition. You think they'd be done and dusted to still be dangerous. Of course, anyone can beat anyone in T20. But those last 2 games, Middlesex, Essex, at the Spitfire ground, St Lawrence, look like games Kent would fancy their chances of winning. Somerset, top of the tree, but we've already beaten them as well this year. So 3 big games to finish at home. How significant, Min, is that?
Yeah, I mean, look, the home crowd, you look at it tonight, fantastic. We've been supported superbly all through the campaign this year. But you would say out of the 3, Somerset, Somerset, we have beaten them down in Taunton, which is a fantastic win, but Somerset perennially are competitors in this competition. So you'd fancy the last 2, Somerset and Hove away. Game before that would be tricky.
Yeah, decent number of punters in, as you mentioned, the home crowd, home advantage. When Kent won the Blast in 2021, as I mentioned previously. First 3 games are at home, 3 wins, got off to a flyer. So some in the hospitality boxes there, and the Les Ames stand, nice vantage point. Bit of sunshine as well, and it's pretty warm still. So Fred Klassen returns Tom Alsop in his sights. You're rather feeling missed out there, Alsop, with full bunger on the pads, and this is going to be the leg bye.
Trying to see if our screens have updated it. Is it still 5.5?
Having a look now at the score. Nicely flicked into the leg side, but they just jogged the single. That's an excellent first 2 overs. Just 10 runs from them. Gilchrist 1 for 14 from his 2. And Everson, who has gone at 10.5, he's finished 4 overs, 2 for 42, but he came back well. A couple of slightly expensive ones early doors, but clawed that back. So this one is struck down the ground and goes for 4. So that is a nice looking shot from Alsop, who's a dangerous customer.
Yeah, and look, in all honesty, I think Bilbo would say that Freddie Klassen has probably missed his length with the mid-off up in the ring and over pitch. So he's opened the invitation up there for the left-hander to hit him straight down the ground. I think with the 3 guys stationed out on the leg side, we're probably thinking into the wicket. We've seen that the probably tired nature of this surface means bang it in a bit and you're going to get some uneven bounce and 2-pace bounce.
Yeah, into the surface, off pace as well, is possibly the way to go. Just as he did there, a little kind of cutter. And they're going to come back for 2. They have to hurry, Leaning's quick, and he's hit direct
that's
hit.
out.
It's not going to be given.
Oh.
Just Nigel Long having a long look. I thought he was making it comfortably, but a direct hit, you're often about a yard further away than if the keeper takes it and takes the bails off. So that is close.
I would love a review on that, Dave, if I'm honest with you.
Well, we might just be able to get a replay. Christian, our director, just trying to work his magic and press a few buttons in the truck and see if we can have a little look out here. So this is the replay. We're side on. No, he's past the stop.
Yeah, he's miles on. I mean, my glasses, I think, I need.
Yeah, well, we are 120 yards away, so with deep extra cover to the left-hander we are, as Klassen comes in again. This one is, I think Billings has taken it one-handed, and he's given him. Yeah, he's gone. So the finger is up. I think he's just maybe checking umpire there with a square leg to see if it carried, but that is a great bit of work from Sam Billings. Might have been a bit of glove on that. Again, just seems to die in the surface.
Bit of a delayed response from the old. I'm trying to work out who's the umpire this end. I know we got the great Nigel Long.
Great Nigel Long, Kent wicket keeper, diving away. It is Mark Newell. So Mark Newell, former Sussex man actually, and Nottinghamshire, I think. Mark Newell played that. So yeah, good bit of work from Billings.
Another timely dismissal for Kent. Really useful.
To the ground, looking a picture here. And so we have another look at this replay. Just attempted pull shot into the pitch, probably, yeah, nicely snaffled.
Fine catch.
And is the finger going up? He's just looking to see if it carried, I think. And no, he's not going anywhere. And now you're out, mate. So Klassen strikes, and he's deserved that. Bowled nicely.
Yeah, I mean, Freddie's been a real champion for us in the white ball format, and actually someone who actually really wants to play red ball as well. Has not unfortunately had the opportunities, but Klassen will also probably see this as a bit of a shop window for the 100 with that coming up. I don't think Freddie's got himself a gig at this moment. Manchester Originals previously.
Over the wicket, the new batsman is Danny Lau, shuffles down the wicket, former Lancashire man. And yeah, it's a good point you make about Klassen. I mean, last year he didn't bowl a ball, did he? He had that back injury, I think, and that would have cost him not only a 100 opportunity, but the opportunity to be in the shop window during the blast. And you have a year out the game, you can get forgotten about. But he's been pretty good in this year's T20 blast. He's arguably been the pick of the seams. Tom Rogers has taken the most wickets, but Klassen's done a good job up top, as he so often does. Swings the new ball, experienced, as it always seems to be a half a step ahead of some of the batters. And he's been good today.
Well, Freddie, to be fair, all of his 4 overs are always the tough overs, aren't they? They're either up front or at the back end. He doesn't get those ones in the middle where you can just cruise away at a single and
apart
hit
from
the
that
sweepers.
last one.
But, yeah, apart from the 15th over. But generally, he does the tough yards. But with that come the rewards of wickets. Tom Rogers is the leader wicket taker. Freddie's economy rate is probably as good as anyone's.
Yeah, the context of when you bowl your over is so important, isn't it? You can't just always look at a scorecard and go, oh, he's gone at 10s or he's gone at 6s. There's Rogers back into the attack. A good old-fashioned forward defensive push from Lamb. Doesn't get him a run.
Tommy's a great pro. In fact, the 2 bowlers bowling now, if you're a youngster, if you're an Ikanch Singh who's wearing the bib tonight, or a Jaden Denley, these are kind of guys you look up and their preparation, the way around the practice environment is so professional that 2 guys that you'd really want to look up to, especially if you've got ambitions to go and play the franchise circuit or international T20s.
We've got a bit of old school cricket here. Just a good bit of line and length and a bit of solid defence.
Yeah,
quite like this. Don't mind having a look at 1 or 2. They've got to rebuild here, Sussex, and they've having a little look at the fall of wickets when they were 1 down and going great guns. 130, 30 for 1, and they were also 112 for 1 when Daniel Hughes got out. And that 112 for 1 has did become 154 for 5, so 4 wickets falling relatively quickly. The Lamb nudges that into the offside, so there's some even shows you in 2020 that there's occasionally a time to rebuild and a time to consolidate. It obviously is truncated compared to a 1-day game, but what you can't do if you're Sussex is go 154 for 5 and then suddenly 160 for 8, and then you really are struggling. So just opportunity here for Lamb and Simpson just to steady the ship, even if it's just for 3 or 4 balls, reset, go again.
Well, the one thing we always talked about in T20 is never having two new batsmen at the crease. If you got one in, you want the new guy to come and put the sort of impetus back into the innings, and now we've got two new guys, so it's a massive upside here for Kent.
But Simpson is very experienced. Northern Superchargers in the 100, obviously former Middlesex man, and he's been in these kind of situations a lot in his career, so he'll know how to pace an innings, he'll know how to rebuild. And what they also might be aware of is who's still to come. So with Rogers and everything he brings to the table, they might think, okay, we'll not give around, but we've still got maybe an over. Just looking, Klassen's got one more, Rogers got one more, Gilchrist's got a couple, but they're going to have to find an over a spin, I think. And they might be looking at that. Might be
yeah, I think Bilbo will be looking for two right-handers, and can he get if they get Simpson, can he get Parky? Can he burglar Parky over in some way?
So Lamb slips over. So he's, you see that on your screen. There he is. He just he went to turn. You don't think he was ever realistically going to get back for a second, but hopefully he hasn't done himself too much damage. But he went down quite heavily there. The new Spriggs in.
Critical time. I can't remember the last boundary. I think it might have been Simpson's pull 6 over here somewhere. So we've had a good passage of play for Kent, dealing in dots and singles. As we say, there's probably one over to find yet for Sam Billings.
It is flayed away into the leg side. Didn't get all of it by any stretch, and they're going to come back for 2. You can take on Leaning's arm. It's got a long way out there, and they get back comfortably. But yeah, another decent delivery from Rogers, and a boundary-free over, just the 5 off it. So Kent getting a foothold in this game, courtesy of those wickets that they've taken at crucial times, just as Sussex threatened to cut loose. Getting the waft of burger come across.
Have you eaten? Have you managed to partake of the...
No, I mean, we played golf today, didn't we, in the kind of Kent-Sussex charity golf day, and that meal was nice, but just getting a little bit peckish again now, and it's just the waft of burger just coming from the van. Hopefully we'll get fed at half-time. The Oriole Cafe to a fine trade, and the curry is usually excellent. They usually send one our way, but they might even have one for you guys if...
I've got hospitality.
You're
quite a lot of stuff.
You're full hospitality. Yeah,
I'm so full.
You don't mess around. Here's Gilchrist from Nackington Road End, and this one is maybe down the leg side, is it? No, one over the top of the stumps. Again, that into the pitch delivery. That's a great length on this surface.
So I mean, this must be the biggest boundary here. So he's looking, Daniel Lamb there, trying to target. Probably it's an 80-yard boundary out here, but we know it's normally downwind down to this bottom end. So a good piece of wood on it, and probably get it away. But this surface is definitely showing signs of uneven bounce. Gilchrist in, halfway down. Short ball mix up. Can they get the run out? No. Bit of a yes, no, sorry. Well fielded at the backward point, thrown into Nathan Gilchrist, but unfortunately couldn't execute the run out. But another dot ball to Kent. .160 for 5, 16.2. Nathan Gilchrist bowling the 17th over. Probably still got Klassen and Rogers, and as we said, we're still looking for one more over, probably from Matt Parkinson, we believe.
Nicely bowled by Gilchrist into the surface. Doing this well.
Nathan Gilchrist just looking at changing the field. He had mid-off up. Daniel Bell-Drum was on the ring at mid-off with long on back with Freddie Klassen. Now they're going to swap that. So to the left-hander, we've got 1, 2, 3 out on the leg side. So this does suggest, again, we're going to go either into the wicket or off pace into the wicket. We shall see. Nathan Gilchrist runs in to John Simpson. Again, chance. Under the Calgary stand, into the wicket, top edge, fine leg, very well caught down there. Can't see who it is, but a crucial wicket there for Kent. 161 for 6, Sussex in the 17th over.
It's been a terrific fight back from the Spitfires. We were thinking, I think you said on Commsman when you first came in, Sussex Sharks, if anything less than 200, they'll be really disappointed with. Well, I think that 200 is looking some distance off at the moment, and that's because the Spitfires have worked out how to bowl on this surface. and they keep losing wickets, the Sharks, at crucial times.
Yeah, they do, but we also know that actually having had the experience of batting first on it, they'll be more than aware of what the requirements will be for their bowling attack. There's been a bit of spin there with Jack Leaney. Yes, I think he bowled a Jaffa first ball. Then they got hold of him for a little bit, but you got Tamal Mills, you got some real high-class operators with the pace and with those cutters and off-pace deliveries that have been so effective for Kent in the back end of this innings.
Yeah, well, I think that wicket that Jack Leaney got with his first ball, they had all the offside up, and Harrison Ward just gave himself a ridiculous amount of room to try and cut it through that offside. It actually went too far, left all his stumps exposed, and it scudded on him a bit, and he got bowled. So, you know, I think that was an error. That was more batting error than brilliant bowling.
Yep.
I'm a fan of Leaning's bowling, particularly to the left-handers. But yeah, I think Billings has worked out pretty quickly that it's pace on. McAndrew is pulling, and that's going to drop short, I think. Just miscued it, and probably just as well for him that he did. So yeah, Nathan McAndrew, bowling all-rounder, 2 right-handers. So I think we will now see Parkinson slide in, maybe bowl the next over from the pavilion end. I think that'll be the over that Billings wants to hide.
Yeah, I mean, although there's a strong case to say Parky bowled better to the right-handers from the Nackington Road end with a slightly longer pocket. So it's a bit of a catch-22, really. Parky does prefer the pavilion end, but this is quite a big pocket into here.
Lamb makes the single. It's been a strange innings this from Danny Lamb. He's a decent all-round cricketer, but he's just content at the moment to just be nudging singles around. And you think with 3 overs remaining, he's going to have to give it a bit of a long handle in a minute, kind of classical shapes that you don't necessarily associate with T20 cricket.
No, it has been. There's been some absolute textbook red ball forward defensives and some pushes into gaps. So a strike rate of 55.6 is, you know, 5 off 9 is not what the Sussex hierarchy could be wanting at this stage. So Danny Lamb doing us a bit of a favour, but a couple of sweet blows over the ropes, and it can all go back to his 100 plus strike rate.
Absolutely. He's of course the brother of Emma Lamb of England and Lancashire. As Rogers is in, and this one is pulled away. Trying to see where it's gone. I have no idea where that one went. That's a sun in the eyes job. Yeah, it's a bit disappointing when you're a top-class professional cricketer, but you're not the best player in your family.
Who famously said that as a sledge to the Aussies?
Is it Jimmy Ormond who said it to
Mark
Waugh?
Correct.
Yeah.
And apparently the Aussies fell about in laughter. Having got some sledging off Mark Waugh, he then came back with that chirp, which Ian Healy, Shane Warne, Nathan and Shane Warne all absolutely fell about laughing with. It's a fair effort on your Test debut.
Yeah, it's nice. He's a good bowler, Jimmy Ormond. That probably was his major contribution in that Test match, that particular sledge.
Yes.
They were tough boys to bowl at, weren't they? But I remember doing a game for the radio, and Danny Lamb got 100 here for Lancashire against Kent on the same day that his sister, I think, got a T20 100 for the women. So it was a pretty decent day if you were parents of those two, sitting back thinking, yeah, all those throws in the nets were worth it.
Yeah.
Son and daughter both bashing hundreds on the same day, same weekend anyway.
Right, we're not seeing Parky. I can't quite tell. It looks like Tommy Rogers, I think, coming back at the Nackington Road end. Bilbo certainly stood back for a Rogers, not a Parkinson type delivery.
Yeah, we've already had a ball, man. We've had a baller this over.
Oh, I've missed that.
Yeah, he missed that. That was the one that was pulled. I just wonder what happened, whether you always get a bit nervous this time of night, especially when you're on stream commentary. You know, we don't have the resources of Sky to fill if 10 minutes happen because Sun stopped play, which happens a few times. So this is ball 2 of this over. It's
all right.
You
Can
saw
you tell
that
me
one?
what's that?
Yeah,
no,
that's when swatted back past him. A pull shot, a strapple, a straight pull, pulled off the back foot into the pitch from Rogers, but McAndrew just kind of baseball batted it straight back past him. Cross bat in the V.
Okay, doke.
And that's gone for 4. So that is the first boundary for a while. Nice strike.
Glad your vision's coping with this light.
Well, I've done a few games from this vantage point. I won't only have the one good working eye, but I just saw that one.
Right, what do we got here? We've got... It's moved. Extra cover. No. What's happening?
Yes, we've got 4 up on the offside here. We've got
right.
mid-off extra cover, backward point and short third man, all up on the offside. So the leg side all back. So you'd imagine this is going to be pretty straight. Offer no width. Batsman might well back away, try and create some room. He does so, and he's bowled. Yeah, there's a good bit of thinking from Tom Rogers and Sam Billings. Just all the offside field up, bowled gun barrel straight, and make the batter try and miss, and that is exactly what McAndrew did. Swash, swish, miss, gone. Rogers strikes.
Well, the proverbial game of two halves this innings has been. I can't remember when you said they were 100 odd for one day. It was about the 11th over, and it's been all Kent since for the next 7 or 8 overs. So 111 for one or something in that region is now 168 for 7 with 15 balls to go.
Yeah, 130 for 3 they were, with Tom Clark going nicely. That was in the 12th, so they were well over 10 and over at that point. Clark went the first ball of the 13th over, and since then it has been a bit of a slippery slide for the Sharks. 168 for 7.
Again, a ball that seemed to be back of a length and yet hit the top of the stump. So did it keep low, or did the batsman actually give it the exaggerated, oh, that kept low kind of look about it? But there's certainly been a lot of evidence to say the ball's not hitting the middle or hitting the bottom end of the bat, shall we say.
Yeah, I don't know what number strip we're on, but that was one of the other things. We're talking about the ropes and the pockets and the matchups and all those 1% things. But Kent also obviously will know the history of each particular strip, don't they? They'll know the scores. You know, some strips for whatever reason. I mean, you think the square would all play the same, but it doesn't. There are some relayed surfaces. There are some that are more sluggish than others. Obviously, we're on the slope here, so the dimensions are a key factor as well. This one is nicely angled away. Ollie Robinson, who has got a bit of touch with the bat, and have his role to play predominantly with the ball, of course. Former England man. But so sometimes you say, oh, it's pitch 10. The average score on pitch 10 is 183, and pitch 8 is 164 for whatever reason. So certain surfaces play differently, and this one, compared to the other surfaces that I've witnessed in this competition, seems slower and perhaps a little bit more two-paced. That might be, as we said earlier, because they haven't had as much time to work on it given the championship workload. He's driving here, and inside edge, I think, into pad.
And I think the incessant heat as well has meant that they've probably dried out. Less moisture in the surfaces, and maybe not coming on as well. I think we're going to see it quite a lot across the bound. We've seen the Kookaburra ball in red ball cricket and how that's affected the batters' scores have been through the roof. But again, we're going to see, I think, in white ball cricket, the lack of moisture in surfaces start to play its part with two-pace wickets.
Yeah, I did an event with Ian Botham, just dropped the mic there, picked that one up this week, and he was moaning about the Kookaburra ball. Understandably, this one is swing and a miss from Robinson. Billings takes it by his ankles, so again, that looked like an on-pace delivery that was taken by the ankles. There's a nice bit of bowling from Rogers. He's finished up. 1 for 27 from his 4. Yeah, but Beefy was basically saying, you know, this Kookaburra ball in English conditions, midsummer, he says, you know, his team's getting 800, and, you know, we get 560, and then Northants batted past us by 100 and however many. You know, it can't be good for cricket, it can't be good spectacle. You need an even contest between bat and ball, and the argument, Kesey would argue, is a fan of obviously introducing the Kookaburra, is that we need to produce bowlers that can bowl on flat wickets, and bowlers who can spin the ball, bowlers that can bowl 90 miles an hour and reverse it, because that's what we face at the highest level. Here's a Gilchrist off pace, that looks wide.
Yeah, look, you can see both sides of that argument 100%, but you know, do you want Surrey members watching 880 declared? Do you want the Kent members sitting through 799? We want to see, yes, we want to see bowlers who can have a point of difference at the international level, of course we do, but actually you've got to balance that. It's not going to happen overnight, and are you willing to stay with this process for a while?
Gone. So Neil raises the finger in that rather nonchalant fashion of his, and that is the end of Lamb. So slightly bizarre innings, 7 off 12 for him. Never really got going. But yeah, I always think the best games of 4-day cricket, if you get kind of anywhere between 280 and 330, that kind of score, usually takes a bit less than a day. It means the game's moving forward. You know, no one really likes to see a kind of 130 surface, but if you get a pitch that yields runs, but there's something in it for the bowlers, the better team usually prevails. Always like that kind of game of cricket.
Generally, a great game of multi-day cricket is one where going into the final session on the final day, all options are on the table. You know, we've all played in those games. We've also all played in those games where you turn up at day 4 thinking it's just a literal 5-hour procession until we shake hands at some declaration time. So, but we've had games where at tea time you're thinking it's all on the table here, and they're so much fun because you've slogged for 4 days. You get that position. Once you've got 870 on the board, there's basically draw or 800 team wins.
Yeah, good point. My favourite ever game of Championship cricket was that one at Guildford in 2005, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I know it was 2005 because the Ashes was on at the time, that famous game at Lord's. As this one is a swing and a miss. Jamal Mills not hanging around. He's a big, strong boy. If he gets hold of it, watch out, but he missed that one. Yeah, it was the first day of the Ashes. It was the last day of that Championship game, and it was a game that we thought was going nowhere on the flattest of all wickets.
Yeah.
And yeah, they would have been about 200 for 1 at lunch, effectively. And Matt Walker got a wicket. You might have got one just before lunch. Might have been Ramprakash or Thorpe, and then there was a partnership, and the game was going nowhere. Ali Brown got out, and then you came back, took 3 or 4 quick ones, and we ended up chasing 250 and 30. He's bowled him. Yeah, beautiful bowling from Gilchrist. Hold on, they're running. It was a free hit, and that is one I missed. This sun shining in the old eyes is not ideal, because usually when you get bowled, the batsman turns round and walks off. But on that occasion, he was bowled and he started sprinting up the other end. So very quickly we worked out it was a no ball. Front foot no ball the ball before. That was a free hit. Good comeback from Gilchrist.
Brilliant Yorker. We'll see the replay.
Yeah, the crowd were cheering, as was I. So not the only one in the ground who missed that.
Yeah, that Guildford game was an extraordinary. I think it was Matt Walker who actually provided that breakthrough for us with his Kapil Dev-like impression pre-lunch, and then they skittled actually. And then Justin Kemp kept putting Nay and Doshi into the Texco petrol station.
Yeah, and the aforementioned Jimmy Ormond came off the field having conceded about 20 in the penultimate over as we got over the line and punched the fire door and broke his hand.
Correct, yes.
Yeah. Bless him. He's a good bowler. Right, here's Gilchrist. Oh my good God. That is a flat one and a no ball. That is no ball for height. It could have taken out the batsman.
Right, Kent have had a fantastic sort of 8 overs, or at least 5.5, 6 overs, so Gilly just needs to close this one out actually. We've got them 2 down, second no ball of the over. Could do with Gilly just closing out here.
Yeah, it was head high. Robinson, thank goodness it missed him. This is another full bunger, so a little bit lower, and it's just going to, free hit, it's going to cost us no more than a single. Yeah, so 176 for 8, so they're just creeping up again towards that 200 mark.
What have we got for the last over? Who have you got? Dave Fulton, the captain, back with the stripes on. Dave, what have you got for the last over?
I'm seeing who we've got left, but all the seamers bowled out, aren't they? Oh, we've got Freddie Classen's got one, has he?
Happy days.
Yeah, he's going to be the man. I'm surprised he wasn't bowling this one actually, just from his favoured Nackington Road in. They get back for 2 here. Miscue from Jamal Mills. So yeah, I thought maybe Klassen from this end and Gilchrist from the pavilion end. I mean, Freddie can bowl both ends.
Yeah.
Got to be able to bowl both ends, although Amjad Khan never really did. He always bowled from the Nackington Road end. Bowled 4 overs once for me from the pavilion end. Looked disgusted that I'd even suggested the idea. There's a Gilchrist is short into the pitch. He swung away to the leg side. He's in the gap. That's 4 runs. That is a good shot from Ollie Robinson. He just swiveled on that. So this over bordering on the expensive.
Wide wicket, no ball, 1, 2, 4. So it's a bit eclectic wicket in amongst some other stuff.
Yeah, a mixed bag, which is a little bit what you get from Gilly in this short form of the game. I mean, he's been excellent in the Championship, but I think he's still, when you're a lot closer to him than I am, but it looks to me like he's still trying to work out what kind of bowler, what are his strengths in this form of the game. I mean, we know he's tall, he can hit the deck, he's got some skills, and he's quite pacey, but he's not so quick that you can't give him a bit of tap. So driving this time, no idea where it's gone, mid-wicket I think. Oh no, Finch hadn't seen it, nor had I. Looking into the sun, and Finch had no idea where that had gone. It looked like it was being driven down the ground, and maybe the bat turned in his hand, and it went, yeah, he's waving his arms around, he had no idea, and nor had I.
Harry Finch is probably the best fielder on that park, and it's a regulation single, somehow made it in the easy 2. We really had no idea where that went until very, very late.
Yeah,
I think they're all calling for shouts if it's coming their way from the inner ring.
The problem is there isn't an inner ring on the leg side. So usually what happens when you're in the inner ring, if the ball goes past you, you point and you shout, and that gives the guy sweeping. I think they're going off here. Are they going off? Is it Sun-stop play?
Oh, it might well be. I think
Or
the
is
umpire.
no, is it over? I've got no idea what's going on.
Yeah, over, I think.
Okay, so just for a second there, we were about to bowl another ball. That was the problem sometimes with wides and no balls and flat ones. Sometimes you can lose count as an umpire, and that is one of the many reasons, Min, that I am not an umpire, and I suggest you're not an umpire either, because you and me standing at the one, we'd probably get bored quite quickly, but two, the chances of us being able to count to 6 consistently over a period of time are
I dare
slim.
say the game would move on fairly rapidly with us two.
So last over, Sussex Sharks, pretty healthy looking, 185 for 8. So they'll be thinking 200. But I think it's going to be Fred Klassen. Just a little bit nervous about this sun because it's almost directly behind the bowler's arm and it's only going to get lower.
I don't think Freddie can afford to miss his line here. I think we're going to see Robinson look to create some space. You've got third man. You've got short third man and backward point up, so there's a bit of room to give yourself a little bit of space and flay away, which is Robbo's strength, really.
Yeah. A twinkle-toed approach off pace, and that's a good-looking shot over the offside. You're exactly right. Give yourself a little bit of room. That's going to run away down the hill. Yeah. You don't stop those on the slope. That was a nice shot from Ollie Robinson. Just gave himself a touch of room, perhaps off pace but slightly over pitched. Billings is going to have a run down and talk to his bowler.
I would personally look to go the other way and actually play to that with having a long off, deep point and a third man and go on, take your chances with 3 men out. So
let's just if we have a look at this one more time. I mean, to be fair to Freddie Klassen, that ball was 1.5 foot outside leg stump. Ollie Robinson gave himself room, and he followed him. And it's sometimes when they give themselves that much room, I'd be like, tuck it outside off stump. You know what he's going to do. Make sure he can't reach it. You bowl that 6 inches outside off stump. Robinson can't hit that. Into the pitch, good bit of bowling, and that is a reverse scoopy thing that Joe Root has got quite good at. Ollie Robinson not so much.
I think if Ollie Robinson had stayed back to look to carve that over third man, it'd have been in a much better position to do so. Overthinking it, I think.
Well, yeah, sure Ollie Robinson overthinks too much. I think maybe just a little bit carried away. That's what he was trying then, and Billings, he's hit that. That is gone, so Mills goes, run out. I suppose you've got to try and take every run, but I see Sam Billings practice this before the play. He gets balls thrown to him, he catches it, and then he underarms at one stump. And that is that attention to detail that comes in handy for moments like that.
10 frames at the Hollywood Bowl, 10-pin bowling helps as well. So he's got the 10-pin bowling action to that throw as well.
Yeah, he has, and he's hit the stumps on 3 or 4 occasions. On the previous occasions, they've all bounced off the stumps, ricocheted, gone for runs. On that occasion, he gets a wicket. So useful comeback this from Klassen. Hit for 4 first ball. On a wicket.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that this power play for Kent's innings will be critical. If we've seen this ball keep low, they're good at the off pace. They've got a couple of very handy spinners. So I think the power play for the top order, Bell Drummer, Miyeye, whoever else comes in after that, I think it's going to be a critical power play. The first 6 will define Kent's chances of this game.
Yep, Kent will know that. Sussex will know that as well. Klassen is bowling and he's missed this time, so we just build him up, old Hollywood Bowl Billings, and he's got his head in his hands. I can't quite believe that he's missed that. That looked like an easier chance. It was off pace, and Billings was closer to the stumps, maybe a little bit giddy having run the Mills out the ball before. So swing and a miss from Crocombe brings Robinson back onto strike. Nicely bowled. Gets hold of this one. This is going to be the single. Finch has located this one okay. So 1 ball remains. Decent over from Klassen.
I dare say probably both sides will be okay with this. Sussex maybe wanted 200. Kent probably wanted 180, 190. I'd say it's probably slightly over par given the nature of the surface, but given the start Sussex had, I think Bilbo will be slightly okay with 190.
Last ball. This one is smeared into the leg side. Good looking shot. You're going to get a couple. In fact, I think he's gone for 4. Yeah, that I can't see who that is out on that boundary, but it's been
normally Tommy Rogers at long on.
Smacked into the leg side. That has gone for a boundary. So the Sharks finish much as they started, with a boundary 195.49. We think that's above par, but Kent's strongest suit is probably their batting, packed full of batters, and Mayeye and Bell Drummond, as we mentioned, coming off hundreds. Bell Drummond at Taunton, Mayeye at Chelmsford. Be nice if they can turn that kind of form on at home. So we will be back with our stream coverage in partnership with Cluberly, of course. Big thanks to them for their support as always. 195 the total. But, Save, Invest supports Cluberly, the first savings apps for sports fans. There you go. Thanks to them. We appreciate all their support as the ground staff do their bit in the middle. The sun is getting lower in the sky and will be behind the bowler's arm, so hopefully we won't have any sun-stop play. But Kent will need, the Spitfires will need 196 when we come back. Thanks to Min Patel for his contribution. We'll leave him to go and tuck into the hospitality, and we'll welcome Cameron back on commentary in about 10 minutes or so. When we come back, the Spitfires will need 196. So welcome back to live stream coverage of this Vitality T20 Blast match between the Kent Spitfires and the Sussex Sharks. Sussex Sharks posting 195 for 9 to Under Mayeye, fresh off 100, a maiden T20 100 at Chelmsford, and Daniel Bill-Drummond, who's got a brilliant 100 at Taunton the game before that, are at the crease. This looks like a tough total. Cameron Emmanuel Burns is back alongside me. Thanks to Min Patel for his time on commentary. Normal service resumed. This looks like a tall order on what we think is a sluggish pitch, Cameron.
Yes, indeed. That kind of rearguard action from the Sussex tail, pushing this to a defendable total from them. But at the same time, these, for me, are the two top players in the tournament, at least the top opening pair. Only two to have hit hundreds. Mieye, the top run scorer in the comp. You know, but I do worry these opening bowlers, McAndrew, Ollie Robinson, class act for Sussex.
Here we go, Robinson into the attack, and Mieye forces this one off a bit of an inside edge. He's got to run away for at least a couple. Yeah, he's a fine bowler, Ollie Robinson. Has that tall, well, he's a tall man, but he has a high action and gets steeper bounce than most. He hits the seam, and he's highly skilled. You'd probably say more renowned for his red ball bowling, but useful exponent with a new ball with white ball as well.
Yeah, especially in this power play, you can use those skills. A bit like Dan Worrell for Surrey. Nip the ball around, move it both ways.
Lovely looking shot, straight at extra cover, there's no run. A classical Mieye cover drive.
Yeah, he is a joy to watch, isn't he? And I think both of these players who play those correct shots, especially Deeves, it's those strong shots along the ground, get good value out here. How quick this outfield has been all game so far.
Yeah, field is a deep point. He's one man back and deep square, so they're covering the square boundaries. Suggest they might just hit that back of a length. That would be the plan for Sussex. There's a nice looking drive, pierces the gap between extra cover and mid-off. And that is the Spitfires' first boundary, classic Mieye.
Even on a pitch which has been hard to get your timing on, Mieye just takes 3 balls and caressing that one through the covers. Lovely way. Get his first boundary of the evening.
He actually went slightly in to out on that. I mean, that was hitting off stump, that ball. It wasn't a half volley. It was fullish. Probably a little bit too full for this surface. But you also know with Tawanda Mieye that he's so quick on a pull shot. If you do drop it in fractionally short on a slow pitch, he can rock back and whack you over mid-wicket. Chip this one in the air. He's found the gap. Just for a moment there, I thought he might have picked out extra cover, but not in line. It squirted square of that. And Bill Drummond on to strike. Such pedigree at the top of the order, the Spitfires. These two, as you mentioned, leading run scorers in the competition this year. Joe Denley, the second leading run scorer in T20 Blast history, coming in next, and Sam Billings, who's played all over the world, at 4. So top order so important. And just drops the bat on this, dead bats it, intent to pick up the singles. And I think we would have learned, we talked about the Sharks bowlers learning what lengths to bowl and what type of deliveries, you know, cutters into the surface, but the Spitfires will also know how best to bat on this particular pitch as well. What shots are on, what shots are to stay away from. So all of that gets factored in for the second half of the game. That was Finch with his stuff on. Interesting to see whether he comes out at 3. We have seen that.
Well, when we were last here, it was for Zach Crawley's last game, and we were wondering who might be his replacement. It turned out, or we were wondering, could it be the left-handed Denley, Akash Singh? They've gone for Finch, who has done pretty well in the T20 stuff, but he had a little bit of form. Obviously, that ton in the last game, and he has been batting at 3. Although with Denley back in the side, perhaps they'll push him up to 3. But yes, Finch in.
Yeah, I like Denley 3, Billings 4. Finch is a dangerous customer, but quite like him in the middle. I think Denley more experienced in the power play. It's James Coles, who only faced 4 balls, but looked fantastic with the bat. It's down the leg side, it's a wide.
Yeah. Quick hands there from skipper Simpson. But interesting, Coles, you know, bats right-handed, bowls left-handed. 5 wickets in the comp so far. I know England, well, he had some time with the lines, am I right in saying?
Yeah, could be right. Not on my watch, the couple of days I did with them, but a little bit of drift here. It's interesting. A bit of in-swing, in-drift with the slope, and he'll be wanting just to get it to straighten up the slope. But cramping Bill Drummond for room. Slog sweep, if he gets any fuller than that, is an option. Well bowled. Quicker.
Bill Drummond already looking to use his feet there. Get a bit more momentum behind it, but like you say, well bowled.
Happy to clip this one to mid-on, tumbling stop. Prevents any further runs. Yeah, it's interesting as well. I don't know how much they would have seen of James Coles. I mean, he's been established for a couple of years, so they may have had a game or two against him, but when you're someone like Daniel Bell-Drummond, there are certain bowlers around the traps that you played against for 10 years, and you know them inside out, and there are others who suddenly turn up, you don't know what they do. He bowled him. So Mayeye off the 100 at Chelmsford. One glorious cover drive, and that's about it for him today. Coles with that angle and a little bit of drift back in. Don't think it turned, I think it did him through the gate. And that is a big wicket for the Sharks to take. Mayeye gone for 7. Spitfires 10 for 1.
Yeah, disappointing that for Kent. At this time, he's the big wicket. As I was saying before, was the top run scorer in the comp. Straight through.
Yeah, hit leg stump, didn't it? I mean, you see it sometimes. Sometimes you see spinners that turn it a long way, and you see others that are really adept at just drifting the ball in. Sometimes you see, I think Samuel Badri, who's the leg spinner from the West Indies years ago, I played in that Carlos Brathwaite game when he hit the 4 sixes off Stokes to win the T20 World Cup. He didn't spin it, but just drifted it back into the right-handers, cramping them for room. And that's what Coles has done there. And
it's gone with the slope, as we know. He's not going to get too much turn away up that slope, so the Kent batters have Finch coming in now, as we say. So not Denley, they've gone for Harry Finch again up the order at number 3. Hopefully to continue his good form from the midweek.
It's a quick-looking delivery, and he's been parried. He'll come back for 2.
Against this old side, Finch, Sussex.
Yep.
We'll know a few of the players. Yeah, I don't think he should be playing for much spin here.
No, I think you almost play Coles as a little left-arm in-swing bowler. It's not his best delivery, but there are 2 men back, so field is set for the straight one, and that is pulled away. It's a kind of ball that you hit that length. Some players rock back. If that was maybe to a Harry Brook or something like that, he forgets about the fielders and he just hits it over their head. But Finch decided to keep that one down.
The likes of Brook and Jamie Smith keep so low when facing the spin that they can really reach up and plough that ball up through the air.
Get underneath it. That was that kind of length. But Ken have just lost a wicket, and Finch opting to go the safe route along the floor. It's a big wicket, as you mentioned, so 13 for 1 after 2.
Sussex got to their total without one of their batters getting to 50, but you imagine this Kent side will need 1 or 2 to do a lot of the heavy lifting here.
Yeah, it was a strange innings, wasn't it? 48 and 43 the top scores, and then extras for 23. No timing from Finch, and that was a real feature, I thought, with Daniel Hughes and Harrison Ward in the first couple of overs. There was a lot hitting the toe of the bat, and there was a lot hitting the splice. There was a lot of mistiming going on, and then they suddenly got used to the surface and they upped the ante. I think it's a kind of wicket, kind of pitch that you've got to get yourself in on, get used to the bounce and the pace. The work off his own bowling by Robinson.
I want to be wrong, but this doesn't strike me as a 195 pitch. I think we're going to have to go well. Absolutely, we've got the batting to do it. We do bat deep, this Kent side. I think Everson is Carter to potentially coming in, well, depending where Rogers comes in, 7 or 8. But yes, it's get yourself in, as the likes Hughes did, and go from there.
So swung away leg side by Harry Finch. He's going to get a boundary, so he stands very sideways, very correct at the crease. And then when it's these pads, it gives it a bit of a flourish. So useful boundary to him. His first. That was when he was off in the middle of stump. If he'd missed it, he was gone.
Great bit of timing, good bit of fielding there. And Nathan McAndrew just stopping it from going over the boundary. Finch will pick up 2. The crowd aren't happy.
No, the Spitfire faithful fans, a few boos knocking around. Obviously we don't get the opportunity to have a little look on our stream coverage. If it was a televised game, and we can have a little look. Oh, it's 4 all day long. Been given. They've been given?
Are they playing on the big screen? We can't see from our vantage point, but the sounds from the crowd makes you think they have played
I think
it.
they might. Yeah, they played it on the big screen, and umpire Nigel Long is having a word. And you know, I think the bottom line is, and the Sussex Sharks fielders might not be happy here that they are playing it on the big screen. Not sure what the rules are with that, but actually, what we really want is for the right decision to be made. And the right decision was 4, and if Nigel Long saw that, that's probably what he's explaining to Mal Mills. So a little bit of a delay. Mal Mills is a really reasonable character. I think if it was 4, he'd be happy to say 4. It's just maybe the protocol of what is allowed and isn't allowed to be shown on the big screen, because sometimes, as we mentioned earlier, these games can be decided by a run or two, and you know, that moment there
absolutely
could ultimately decide a match.
What's the decision going to be? Not.
Well, I can't believe, having had that discussion, that it wasn't signalled 4.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just a couple. Not sure about that. It's a good old-fashioned forward defensive and a quick single. So yeah, the fans were booing. They knew. And if they did see that on the big screen, I think it was pretty unequivocal that it was 4. The Sussex Sharks have benefited then from whatever protocol Nigel Long was discussing. Oh, nicely cushioned on the second attempt by Danny Boy Drummond. You can, sometimes those can roll back on your stumps. He made sure that didn't happen.
But you know, it's a bit of a two-pace pitch when Bell Drummond is struggling to time it away. I know I'm biased off that last, well, the 4, the phantom 4 that never was. But if I'm McAndrew, it was clear as anything. He was touching the ropes. I think I would be inclined to just say, you know what, it was clearly 4, give it them, but hey ho.
Coles again.
One of the quickest balls I've seen all evening.
It might have hit John Simpson in the head, that.
Do you think he's given a
quicker ball and a flail, and there was a... Sure, if that plunked him on the helmet. Well, we're not going to see from that angle. He was certainly reared up.
Blimey.
Well bowled. Chance of a run out. Quick is Bell Drummond, and he had to be. Little shout out to Reese Holton of Whitstable Cricket Club, my cricket club, who is in close proximity and has delivered a burger for myself and Cameron. So nice touch, that.
Hero.
Yeah. Getting a bit peckish. Oriel Cafe was out. That's a nice looking shot.
Yeah, beautiful that from Bell Drummond, striking that crisply down the ground, using that pace from Coles. Couple bounces into the boundary. Top shot that from the Red Bull skipper. Yeah, touch more flight that time from Coles, drilled down the ground. Oh, cameraman almost getting splattered with that one. Again, used to the feet there from Bell Drummond. Good bit of fielding and cover.
Lovely strike from Bell Drummond through the covers. So a couple of boundaries in this over. Commentators, schoolboy error, both went for the burger at the same time. He was tossed up, wasn't it?
But again, we were saying just before coming in there, the likes of Bell Drummond will really appreciate getting value for his runs on this outfield. As soon as he gets through that ring, it's always going to race away for 4. And that quicker one from Coles. Interesting this from Sussex, opening up with a spin. Well, I say spin, almost the medium pace of Coles. From the Kent's innings, the spin wasn't too effective. Leaning got the wicket off his first ball, but other than that, him and Parkinson struggled to touch.
Yeah, but as you say, it's not classical spin, is it? I mean, the one that he tossed up, got drilled for 4. The ones he's pushed through have been harder to deal with. So, you know, pushing it through at good pace, back of the length, almost operating as a slow medium pacer. But McAndrew, new bowler, in for 6 for. Finch trying to flick that one away. Over a short 45, he misses it.
Yeah, McAndrew coming into this with some form. He's 15 wickets in the comp so far, 5th overall. Although I would say Glamorgan are ready to never see him again. He's taken a 6th, as you mentioned, and a 5-wicket haul in his 2 games against them.
Sometimes you have teams that you go well against, and conversely that you go less well against. Drilled at mid-on and a misfield. That is poor work. We'll see who that is.
Is that Robinson?
Is it Robinson?
It might be.
Yeah, it's probably the area of his game that just ever so occasionally lets him down.
So on teams that you do well and not so well against, what about yourself?
Yeah, no good against the Sharks. I think I've got 100 in my career against them and not much else. But, others, Somerset, Northants, Lancashire, well, all right. Here's McAndrew again. That's a nice looking shot. So Finch got all of that, and that's going to run away to the Oriole Cafe for another boundary.
Yeah, good start this from Finch, 17 off 12, striking at 140. Good bit of confidence, like I say. He's coming into this off the back of that ton against Northamptonshire. Good move from Kent probably to get him up at number 3. He's one of these players we said before, a bit like Everson, needs a few balls to get going. Whereas the likes of Denley Billings perhaps don't need that so much.
Got hold of this one. This is swung away to the leg side and it's 6. So Finch on the charge. As Cameron rightly mentions, that 100 in the championship in the week, standing him in good stead. Swiveled on that and whacked it over square leg.
Yeah, brilliantly timed that one from Finch, climbing into that short ball from McAndrew, clearing the rope with ease. Wow, top bowler McAndrew, 12 or 4.
Yeah, playing miss this time. Good comeback from McAndrew. And Finch maybe Innings got a point to prove against his old charges. I think like getting one over on your old team, we've seen it time and time again over the years. Player moves on, comes back to haunt previous employers.
This time it'll just be the one off the pull. Intentionally not hitting that one in the air and retaining the strike. Kent Spitfires 42 for 1 off 5, going into their last over of the power play. Just below that required run rate of 10s at the moment. They won't want it to get much higher than that, especially coming out of the power play.
Yeah, and I think it's important Harry Finch gets off to this quick start. For him, really, I think watching that game against Gloucestershire, where he comes repairing some of the damage after Kent lost a couple of wickets. He had a good partnership with Sam Billings, but he struggled to find the boundary when the field was spread. And now he's got the power play, he's got the field up, he's got 1 over remaining of this power play. He want to capitalise, because when the field goes back, it's harder, not just for him, but for anyone. Robinson returns.
As we saw quite a number of times during Sussex power play, looks like he's in some discomfort there. Just going through the shot too early. Pace nature of this pitch. On evidence again there. So he'll be looking to capitalise off this final over. Getting up above that 50, 55. Oh, he's gone beautifully. Not all the way, a few bounces away. Audacious little, well, like a Dilshan scoop that from Finch. He's got it in his locker. Using the pace of the ex-England man. Oh, lovely that from Finch. Maybe doesn't have the power of some of the other players in the Kent lineup. Has great touch. Cracking shot that from Finch. Oh, he's climbed into that one again. And it's cleared the boundary. Back-to-back boundaries, this time 6 for Finch. He's really on a roll here. Terrific start this to his innings, 34 of 18. Good going this from Finch.
Yeah, low to high on the ball. Usually when we talk about playing good players with the ball, they like to get their hands above the ball and they hit down on it. But in T20, quite often you go the other way. You just get your hands low and then you can hit up on it. And that back of a length ball, you just swiveled on it, hit up on it, let the breeze do its thing. That's a good shot.
Yeah, practice almost carbon copy of the same shot he played with Nathan McAndrew in the previous over. This one, I think the boundary looks a touch further out towards the Oriole, the old Lime Tree Cafe. Nigel Long's gone off. I think is that another new ball needed?
Yep. Just looking at the box of balls at the moment. So you'd think at a first-class ground you get your ball back, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Sometimes it ploughs into the hedge, and it can be tough to find. So had this in an under-19s game at Radford Whitstable against Canterbury. We had bright pink balls we were playing with, and they kept getting smashed into ditches and nettles and all sorts. So it was a nice bag of about 20 pink balls, came back with about 7.
Expensive day that. They're
It's
not
an
cheap.
expensive day, they're not cheap.
Still a great atmosphere here at the Spitfire ground. Sun just dipping down now behind the pavilion. Lights coming to full effect. I think it would be the best time to bat here. 3 more balls left of this power play. Now a beauty. Has that gone all the way? It has.
Mark New with his arms aloft. So Harry Finch, 4-6-6. Ollie Robinson, we talked about his red ball pedigree, but he's dished a couple up in this over. The short one was there to pull, and this one was in the slot. Just a little dance down, but it was foolish. And you can see how far the ropes have been brought in today. That normally wouldn't have gone for 6. Not that it would have mattered. It would have been a boundary, but Finch taking full advantage.
Short again, drilled. 2 men out, it beats them. Oh, he's on a roll here, is Finch. 4-6-6-4. Again, pitching short goes Robinson, and absolutely thumped out to the leg side boundary. And now at 4, he's on his way to 44.
What Min Patel said about the power play being crucial, could decide the game. I'm not sure if this one goes for 6, it's quite game, set and match. It's very much in the balance though. He's got hold of this one. That's a hell of an over so far. In fact, it has completed it. 26 off the over, 3 6s, 2 4s. And Harry Finch goes to 50 off just 21 balls. It helped and aided and abetted a little bit by the bowling of Ollie Robinson. He didn't hit his straps in that over, but Finch, credit to him, he's got to take full advantage, and he did just that. 26 off the over, brings that required rate down to just a shade over 9.
Well, just exactly what this Kent batting innings needed. Again, brilliant commentary after I said he didn't quite have the power of the rest of the lineup. He goes 6-4, 6-4-6. But tremendous from Finch there, showing that confidence from his innings midweek, his ton. Now the Sussex skipper, Tymor Mills, coming on.
been smoked through mid-wicket by Daniel Bell-Drummond. He didn't even run. And that fielder had about 15 yards to go to his left. And he didn't have to run because he middled it. Bang, that's a classical Bell-Drummond pull stroke. Maybe the innings of Finch will just get the club captain going, as that hasn't quite found the middle of the bat until that one.
Yeah, momentum is key in T20. This Finch innings is really propelling us along.
Interesting to see how Mills operates here, and interesting to see how Finch plays him. He doesn't mind the pace, likes pace on the ball, but Mills has got a couple of tricks up his sleeve in terms of off-pace deliveries.
And also should mention, I believe that's Finch's first T20 50. Previous high score 47.
Yeah, one of the quicker ones of the season as well. I haven't got a list of the quickest 50s in this campaign, but this innings from Finch should be right up there, I suspect. Nigel Long with a nonchalant signal of wide, almost as if he begrudges the extra ball because he's got places to go to later.
Looked like a change up there from Mills. I think we're going to see a fair few of that from him this evening. What looked good during our bowling innings, like Sir Gilchrist, Rogers, a few cutters.
John on the pull shot again, just going to get the single. This fielder's all back on the leg side, and back square on the leg side, I should say, mid on in the circle. So you'd expect him to bang the middle of the pitch, induce the pull stroke. He's quite sharp still, Samuel Mills. Another wide. Nigel Long once again.
Slow ball's not quite coming out right.
Yeah, they're not. I mean, he's a fine bowler, Mills, and he's got really good pedigree, but just he is a white ball only, isn't he? That back injury meant that he's only really been able to play this form of the game, and Sussex have had a couple of weeks, as has everybody, of course, a couple of weeks off. Sometimes that can just disrupt a bowler's rhythm. I'm sure he's been practicing hard.
It was interesting what we were speaking about earlier, the difference between those who have played those county games to those who had a break, where these two have spent a lot of time in the middle over the past week, and it's paying. Look at Finch and how well he's timing the ball. Bell-Drummond's not too far behind him. Whereas the benefit, even though it's a different format, time in the middle, you can't really beat it.
So Spitfires 78 for 1 off 7. That's about what the Sussex Sharks were earlier. I've got a comparison at my fingertips, but it was above 10 runs and over. I think getting to 100 in the 10th over, so 9 point something when they went past 100. So Spitfires on course at the moment. Of course, Sussex Sharks rather fell away in the middle. Spitfires have a lot of batting to come. They can pace their innings accordingly.
new bowler this, Crocombe coming on the Neckerton Road end, replacing Ollie Robinson after that huge over from Finch.
And he's been whipped away for 4.
Using the pace there. Sharp looking delivery that. First time I'm seeing Crocombe.
Yeah, interesting to see how Henry Crocombe goes. I first commentated on him in the Bob Willis Trophy back in COVID in 2020. It was that famous game that Jordan Cox and Jack Leaning both got double hundreds. And Crocombe was on show then, and he stuck to his task well. He had a bit of pace.
And it's gone. That was the pace in evidence there. Finch looking to muscle that onto the leg side, getting a top edge, and it flied all the way to deep out at the third man and taken smartly. I believe, is it Ollie Robinson down there, or perhaps not? But yes, a great innings comes to an end there for Finch. Real impetus given to this Kent batting innings, 56 of 25. That's Kent 82 for 2.
Yeah, Finch doing his job in at 3. Not sure it was the right move when he strolled out of 3. I have to hold my hand up and be honest, because the man on screen, Joe Denley, has such experience, but tried to smoke that back over his head and just picked out third man.
I think that was Daniel Hughes, in fact. But yes, here's Denley, fresh off a couple of weeks break. He was in some sparkling form against Essex.
Yeah, played nicely against Essex, and he's experienced enough to know what he needs to do. Needs to play a whole heap of games at his stage of career to be ready for a big T20 blast match, and he's had the platform laid for him, but still plenty of work to do. I mean, the required rate is 9, and the power play has been and gone, so often he's opened the batting or he's been 3 and been able to capitalise and start with the fielding restrictions in play. He's now got fielders back, and Crocombe with his tail up, having got rid of Finch.
Sharp dug in. Denley getting away. They're pushing for 2. Not on. Just the 1.
Well, it might have been on if it wasn't Joe Denley's first ball. Sometimes when you first go out to the crease, you've got to get the legs pumping a little bit. He's not a spring chicken. He is fast between the wickets once he's warmed up and once he gets going. And the other thing to take into account, he was on the back foot playing a pull stroke, so it's not quite the same as if you're advancing down the wicket when you strike. Get a little head start.
Crunched away, just the 1 that time to the sweeper out on the offside. Bell Drummond be interesting one. He's hardly faced any of the strike so far in this innings. He's now outside the power play. 17 or 13, of course, and he looks fine. But how do you think he'll play it from here? Will he look to anchor the innings, or will he be the aggressor now that Denley's come in?
Yeah, I think these guys will just play what's in front of them. If there's a ball to hit, they'll hit it. They know that they need to strike a boundary and over, ideally, when you need 9s. So 47 balls gone in this innings so far. Daniel Bell Drummond, as you mentioned, opening batters faced 13 of them, and that can happen. Sometimes you get stuck at the wrong end, and he's probably quite happy to do that, all the while Mayeye, Finch are firing. So now with Denley at the crease, probably be a more even distribution of strike as they knock it around for singles a bit.
A little bit of an ugly shot there from the club skipper. Not his usual graceful self. Perhaps feeling the pressure a little bit of, as I say, not having too much of the strike so far.
Yeah, decent over from Crocombe. The all-important wicket of Harry Finch. Scatter blast time as the T-shirts get thrown amongst the crowd. So it makes me chuckle seeing what sizes they've got. He's put his hand up, I'm out of T-shirts. There's a young kid looking for a T-shirt, he's out of T-shirts. How does that young kid feel? But also, what's he got left in his bag? If he had one left, the kids are kind of extra small. He's probably got a large or an extra large left. It's not an exact science, T-shirt throwing. Cameron?
Slam on pavilion end. We'll be looking to take the pace off as well. Obviously not the speed of Tymon Mills, but canny operator.
Yeah, Denny Lambert want to contribute with the ball. He didn't quite get going with the bat. 7 off 12 deliveries, no boundaries. That was in that sticky period when they just were looking to rebuild. But box of tricks with the ball. deceptive slower ball. It was a goodie. It's like he kind of Benny Howell style, likes to cover the ball so the batter can't see which grip he's operating with. Bowled him. What an extraordinary bit of bowling from Danny Lamb into the pitch. Slower ball. And Joe Denley thought he was just going to wallop that over mid-wicket, but it died on him. I think that's partly the surface, but I think you've got to give Danny Lamb an awful lot of credit. Completely outfoxed Joe Denley there with that slower ball. And quite often we think of slower balls as being kind of pitched up, and sometimes you can climb into them, but that is well disguised. Second one in a row. The one before, Daniel Bill Drummond, he banged it into the pitch. Maybe had it really gripped in his palm. Sometimes usually you have it in your fingers. Maybe that was right set back in the palm and it came out so much slower. Denley threw on his shot, completely befuddled, and he's gone.
Yeah, clever bit of bowling that. Bill a touch for Denley. He did pitch that one halfway down. You'd expect that to get higher up and smashing halfway up the stumps. But that brings in the skipper, Sam Billings. We'll be looking for a bit more from the second half of this Blast campaign. Top score of 38. Such a class operator all around the world, and it's an opportune time with Kent 87 for 3. 2 quick wickets there, 2 big ones of Finch and Denley. So an opportune time here for the skipper to really set his mark on the tournament.
Yeah, we said earlier, didn't we, Sam Billings feel like he's due. Decent knock against Gloucester, never quite got going as he can. Not much else in this campaign, hasn't been needed that often. Likes to start around about a runner ball, just tick it around, get himself in. He has got those explosive shots, likes the leg side, but in the last couple of years, as we saw with that brilliant 100 against Somerset in last year's campaign, he can go down the ground these days too. Off-pace delivery again. Swung into the leg side for a single. So like this combination, Crocombe and Lamb, Sussex have a good formula. They've got these young batters, a couple of young bowlers as well. I don't know how old Danny Lamb is. He looks a bit older than he is, I think, but Crocombe's still pretty young. Steered away into the offside by Billings. So they'll come back for 2. Slight misfield.
It's one thing Billings will give you. Real hustle when he's out the wicket, always looking for those quick 2s.
Yeah, Danny Lamb will be 30 in September, so pretty much in his pomp. Henry Crocombe 7 off his first over, and the big wicket of Finch, just 23 years of age. So yeah, 5 years ago in that COVID game he was just 18, and I thought he stuck to his task well that day, despite the likes of Jordan Cox and Jack Leaning tucking in on the flat surface. But 5 years on, he's certainly got a head of steam up.
Considering 2 again, no, not on that time. Field of his own bowling there for Crocombe. Still ahead of the DLS, just about. It's saying 91 here, and 92.
Yeah, the good news is DLS not going to be required unless something appears over the horizon in terms of weather. It's looking like it's set fair. Still a warm evening, although I've just gone for the quarter zip. It's just getting a bit fresher, isn't it?
Yeah, now the sun's gone, I'm eyeing up my hoodie, to be honest with you.
.93 for 3, 196 the target for the Spitfires. Remember, they started the day 4th in the South Group, Sussex 3rd. Played a game more than tonight's opponents.
Well, slapped from Bell Drummond, who won't pick up 4, but an easy 2. Then Crocombe testing out the middle of this pitch. Well timed that from Deebs.
Yeah, Crickham's got a good turn of pace, but these two are faced quicker, of course. Played all around the world, and Drummond particularly likes pace on the ball. Very fast hands in that cut shot.
Slap this time straight into the hands. Well, I think he was in quite comfortably in the end. You'd imagine that Drummond would rather facing the likes of Crocombe than actually Lamb with his change of the pace. Like you say, he prefers that pace on the ball. It won't worry him.
Yeah, well, Danny Lamb's come from Lancashire, isn't he? So they might not have seen too much of him in T20 Blast cricket. Be a bit of championship cricket, but not so much in the white ball game and in T20, because obviously Lancashire in the North Group.
Oh, that was radars off wide. And a tricky one for Simpson to collect. We'll scamper through for a single. There was a few extras in our when we were bowling, so we'll take all of these.
Yep, 23 in fact, third top score for the Sussex Sharks. There's 48 for Daniel Hughes, 43 for Tom Clark, and extras then kicking in. And the contributions all the way down. This one is smacked and mid-on, great stop. Good bit of work. Can't quite see who that is. I think he winded himself in the process. Was the aforementioned Danny Lamb. Good stop that, as it bounced. Those awkward ones for goalkeepers, isn't it? When a free kick comes over the wall and it bounces a yard or two in front, they can jump or they can skid. It's equal to it.
Again, showing a bit of Bell Drummond's touch, slapping that one straight down the ground. Hoyt.
Billings has got hold of this, his favourite leg side area. Looked like an off-pace delivery, and he just got slog swept, and that's in danger of finishing in the old Dover Road. Through the car park, Sainsbury's car park, and out the other side. And you can see Daniel Bell Drummond message there. That looked like, yeah, slightly off pace. Billings just swung it away through the gates, down the road.
Yeah, some unsuspecting Sainsbury's shoppers getting their dinner, just been crunched into by that ball. Terrific shot that from the skipper, using the pace, smiting that one away. 6 runs and getting his innings off to a good start here. In fact, I haven't really seen this from him so far during the tournament, where he's gone hard early. There's good signs.
Yeah, just keeping an eye on the games elsewhere. At Taunton, Glamorgan made 176 for 7, Somerset in pursuit. 98 for 4 off 12, only 79 in 47 balls. So that's a tall order, albeit it is at Taunton. A small ground and usually a flat surface, but Glamorgan very much in the hunt for one of these 4 qualifying spots as Lamb re-enters the attack. And has been whacked wide along on, could be 4, but well fielded actually. And they'll come back for 2. Sussex back in action tomorrow actually against Hampshire, 7 o'clock at Hove, so these games coming thick and fast in the blast. There's a chance. And he's gone, I think. It's a brilliant catch. And that is the end of Daniel Bell Drummond. He's just looking over his shoulder to check it was taken. But that is one hell of a catch.
Yeah, Crocombe running around there, taking a bit of a specky there. I think it's an interesting move. Simpson came up to the stumps. Bell Drummond wasn't able to use his feet. Went to hoik that into the leg side, top edge, and that was a super bit of fielding that time. There's Danny Lamb again.
Yeah, Danny Lamb impacting this game. We said he didn't quite have his best game with the bat, but take a look at this catch. He got underneath it. I think he knew he hadn't got it. He misjudged it, slowed down there, but then got it. And crucially, you think Mitchell Stark against Ben Duckett at Lords, where he turned his hand over and grounded the ball. Very keen there to make sure he turned his hand so that his knuckles slid along the ground and the ball was quite clearly visible above the turf. So smashing catch, took any doubt that it might not have carried out of the equation. And Nigel Long raises the finger and off he goes. So Joey Everson hasn't had much time in the middle in this competition, coming out ahead of Jack Leaning at number 6.
Well, Kent are giving him bit of a chance to get himself in. Obviously hasn't got too long, but we were mentioning earlier, needs a few balls. And he's got that opportunity now. We're ahead of the rate. He needs to support his skipper here.
Fielders playing quite tight on the offside. Be aware that Everson sometimes takes a ball or two to get set. Not one of these players that just kind of strikes it from ball one, especially at this stage of proceedings. Interesting the way Sussex have moved their bowlers around. You start with the spin of Coles, and then Lamb got these kind of... Now he is someone that reminds me of Benny Howell. We talked about Joey Everson and how he operates. This is Howell-esque in terms of off pace.
Yeah, he's got a few more tricks than I'd say Everson. So he covers the ball as he runs up. Maybe a touch slower than Everson as well.
It's a good lesson to bowlers out there. You don't have to be expressed to be really effective in this form of the game. It's all about the skills. He's got that knuckleball. I think he's covering it here. It looked like he might have gripped it as a knuckleball. Yeah, slower.
Yeah, good eyes there, Mr. Fulton.
Well, we've got the benefit the camera's homing in on what he's about to bowl.
Don't give away the trade secrets.
Well, the batter can't do that, of course. So, yeah, that looked like a knuckleball. But he covers it. And of course he can start with a knuckle grip and still change it back to a normal grip. It's the advantage of having those hands together, move the ball around. So vastly experienced Sam Billings and hugely talented Joey Everson. Plenty of qualities out there in the middle, not huge amounts to come. As Jack Leaning, and then we get into the bowlers. Tom Rogers is an all-rounder, albeit a bowling one, and then we're Klassen, Gilchrist and Parkinson, and if you think those three are going to be needed for anything significant.
He's been superb when we've seen him.
Yeah, you're a big Klassen
I'm a big
fan,
Klassen fan,
but I'm not convinced he's going to get you home.
Cole's back on from the Nackerton Road end. Now, of course, with the field out. Does it seem like it's that period of the match with 4 wickets down? Kent batters will look to just form a partnership here and then go again.
Yeah, tricky here for Kent. You feel a couple of wickets, it could be game over. So Billings, a lot resting on the skipper's shoulders tonight.
I got away with that one. Bit short. Billings rocked onto that back foot, slapped it away, but straight at, well, you'd guess it, Danny Lamb at cover.
Yeah, can't keep Lamb out of the action at the minute.
Nice use of the feet, drilled straight. Well fielded, just the one. Billings be disappointed with that. I think he was looking for 2 there.
Yeah, important that Coles backs up Lamb here from a Sussex perspective. Danny Lamb's been excellent, 2 overs, 2 for 11. Big wickets as well, Denley and Bell Drummond.
That's through. Through Everson there, going for a sweep shot, not connecting.
Yeah, it wasn't quite the length he was looking for, almost like a premeditated, I'm sweeping this one regardless. Didn't get it where he wanted it.
Again, use of the feet. Taking it over for 1. Again, Coles isn't going to get that much turn. It's playing for that drift back in, and the speed that he's bowling at. Kent can use that to their advantage. Again, slapped straight, and that's gone. That's pierced the boundary 4. Just as we said, using the pace there, Billings strolling down to it and slapping it beautifully straight down the ground. 4 more to the skipper.
Yeah, and I think that's what Billings might be saying here. No spin for Cole, so nail him straight. When the ball's really turning, it's 1 harder to use your feet and 2 harder to hit straight. You tend to go squarer. And when the ball's just skidding on, which is what Coles is doing, hit through the line, pump him over his head or straight of the long on and long off fieldsman.
Well, a bit of respite here from the Danny Lamb onslaught, and skipper Tyrell Mills has brought himself on. Interesting decision. Would you have kept Lamb on?
Oh, Mills, that's a misfield, and that is a nasty one. Just going to be the single that got right on the wicket ends. Practice wicket ends where there are tricky footholes. That's McAndrew at that backward point, such a key fielding position, but that one changed direction on him quite quickly. Yeah, I mean, tempting to keep Lamb going, but also a nice man to have with a couple of overs up your sleeve. But as tends to be the way, they mix the bowlers up, then we get batsmen set against them. A nice little chip shot from Billings. Has he got enough of it? No, he hasn't. You can't quite believe he's done that, the skipper. If he'd have really launched it, I think it would have gone over his head. He timed the pants off it, and he has just picked out the deep mid-wicket fieldsman, and it is Cole's safe catch. It was on his pads, he just kind of chipped it, and Coles was never going to put that down. So Mills has his man. The answer to your question, Cameron, probably a good bowling change, and Billings has to go. Once again, an innings that just never quite got going. Shot down the ground in the last over, you thought, here we go, and picks out deep mid-wicket, and this Kent innings in danger here of subsiding. Jack Leaning, the last of the recognised batters. This is a huge partnership.
Yes, but Leaning's looked good in his last few T20 games, going from the off. I remember against Surrey and Essex as well, pelting a few. Look, we've seen him do it a number of times for Kent. I believe there was even an innings against Sussex. Those infamous partnerships with Jordan Cox when he was around. So he can certainly stick around. Him and Everson, as you say, probably the last two recognised batters. Pressure on them here.
Yeah, pressure on him. The rate's gone above 10, 78 to win of 7.4. And that is a sharp Tyrell Mills bouncer. Leaning. Spent some time in the crease, out the championship side, of course. Hasn't quite happened for him in 2025, Jack Leaning, but played for St Lawrence and Highland Court in the league. Got 100 on Saturday against Bromley. And by all accounts, it was a very fine innings. Obviously, different standard, different level, but time in the middle. And credit to him for turning out. Was bunted into the leg side. Interesting that he started with pace on, Mills to Jack Leaning. It's not a bad ploy. So the batter first comes to the crease. I always think if you can bowl 90 plus miles an hour as a bowler, what do batters generally not want to face? 90 miles an hour past your nose when you haven't had any sighters. Sometimes you come in, you start with a slower ball, you go, oh, thanks very much. Don't mind the 70 mile an hour one.
That's how he made his name, isn't he? He got all those contracts around the world, those lucrative ones in the IPL. I remember that searing Yorkers, Chris Gale, a number of years back. That pace.
Nice looking shot from Everson, just a little single. With every single, the required rate climbs.
Yet you still feel they do need to contain for a touch. Start building up a partnership.
Yeah, well, both these guys have got the power to reach the rope and go over the rope, so a bit of consolidation. If it gets up to 12 or 13, if there's only a couple of overs left, it's manageable. Good scampering by John Simpson, recognising that Leaning was thinking about coming back for a cheeky two. Wicket-keeper alive to the fact it had just been bunted 20 yards or so. Sprung into action, prevented the second. So important wicket that from Tyrell Mills, picking up opposite number, the skipper Sam Billings.
The informed man with the ball now, Aussie Nathan McAndrew. Coming on from Acton Road end here. Again, I imagine he will be using that variations, hitting the pitch hard, a few change-ups. but we have seen when the bowlers have gone pace on, especially from this end, the Kent batters have been able to get underneath the ball and hit it towards the Sainsbury's and get it over the ropes.
Other supermarkets are available, just not in the vicinity of the Spitfire ground, St Lawrence.
You are hoping for one of these two to get a boundary away this over, just for their sake. We saw what happened with Finch as soon as he got onto a roll, where things started motoring for him. Everson has been in now a few overs, faced 8 deliveries. But eager to get one away soon.
Good looking shot. It's just going to be the single to Danny Lamb at mid-off. Yeah, I mean, if you think about what this innings might have looked like without that Finch knock, quick fire 21 ball 50. So what's keeping Kent in touching distance here? Apart from him, no one's really got going.
Will have to be bowled again from McAndrew. And Kent will take all these extras. As you were saying, Leaning turned out for St Lawrence the weekend. He'll be eager to make an impression here. Not been the easiest of seasons for him. Oh, shuffled across there. Scuttled through.
He likes to go downhill, doesn't he? He likes to shuffle across outside that off stump, try and pick the ball up with the wind. Down to the lower side of the ground. You can see Ryder's screen there. We're pretty central. Maybe even a little bit to the top side of the ground. So longer pocket to mid-wicket, but he does like this side.
Dug in, slower ball. And it's beaten the short third, or short fine, I may add. And it's run away for 4. Much needed that for Kent. And the first boundary for Jack Leaning. Let's take Kent 128 for 5.
Yeah, just beats Mills here, shuffles across. It wasn't a great delivery, was it really? McAndrew with the off pace. It's all very well bowling off pace, but you can't shove it down the leg side. It just enabled Leaning to swivel on it and just help it behind square and behind Tyrone Mills's outstretched dive.
Pace on, crunch down the ground just for 1. Yeah, that required rate is slowly inching its way up towards 11 here. And will do well to not let it get much further than that.
Yeah, you go into the last over requiring 11 or even 22 off 2, then you're pretty happy as a batting side. But 11 for 6 overs, it's tough to keep getting that every over.
Again, Everson swing hard, and it goes away for 4 into the same direction again. Not where he meant it, but he'll take it. That's a good over in the end for Kent. 14 off it. Was that 14? No, my maths is gone. 12 off, and yeah, I think he'll take it however it will come.
Yeah, that one's bad luck from Nathan McAndrew. It was a decent delivery. It was off pace, it was off stump, and it wasn't where Joey Everson intended. He got a boundary to him, a boundary to Leaning, and here is Danny Lamb, who's probably been the pick. 2 for 11 from 2. His box of tricks. Back from the pavilion end. It's the ball it did for Joe Denley, wasn't it? A slow one into the surface that just says hit me. Looks like Lamb's dished it up with a bit of mint sauce, but it actually turns out to be mighty effective.
That's why you get paid the big bucks, Mr. Bolton.
One bounces a bit higher, swatted to deep mid-wicket.
Bit of tension in the air here. Game on a knife edge. It really could go either way here. Kent get a few away here, the momentum back on their side, I'd say they're in the driving seat, but a wicket or two will be tricky.
Yeah, he looks like a tricky customer, doesn't he, Danny Lamb? Sure, I'd be enjoying this too much, trying to look hard at the grip and see how fast it's going to come out. I think he might be one of those guys you almost have to set yourself that it's going to be slow. Look here, looks like it's the knuckleball again. He's putting it kind of deep into his hand and holding those knuckles behind it, so I imagine this will be slow as well. That's a good strike, but I think he's picked out long off. It's another one to Lamb. Robinson with the catch. And Everson goes now, so the last of the recognised batters.
Never really got going, did he, Everson, in the end, unfortunately. But it will bring in the one left-hander in the side, Mr. Tom Rogers, who can hit a long ball. Been a bit feast or famine in this tournament as Tom Rogers with the bat. Quite a few ducks, but he can certainly be effective, and I think this will be good for Kent, being able to change up the right left-hand combination.
Well, we saw a lot of left-handers in the first half of this match, didn't we? They just kept coming one after the other. Extraordinary number of cack-handers, but Rogers the only left-hander in Kent's lineup. And not sure when you play in the middle of a field like this it's quite as significant as when you play to one side. There's a shorter boundary, it's always good to have that to the leg side, so left-right combos are quite handy. But Rogers hasn't got a lot of time to get his eye in here. This required rate is shot up. .1 wicket. It's pushed the rate up to 11.6. So Danny Lamb, star turn for the Sharks, the former Lancashire man.
Yeah, he's been the difference so far. Those knuckleballs digging it into the wicket. Hard to time away for these Kent batters.
We were talking earlier about he bowled his first 2 overs for 11, took a couple of wickets and then got whipped out the attack and then back in, and I think that's the advantage of always chopping and changing. The bowlers are used to it, you know, they can hit their straps, they know what they're doing, but from a batter's point of view, when you're playing someone like Danny Lamb, if you can get it over after over, you can kind of set yourself, you get used to what he's doing. Nice looking shot, I think it will just be the one. No. All and over that is from Danny Lamb. 3 conceded and the wicket of Joey Everson, and that has pushed the rate up to 12, and that's the problem when the overs start ticking down. You get a quiet over, it pushes that rate right up, and if Kent can suddenly find an over like they had with Harry Finch where he whacked 26, if you have an over like that, then it changes it completely the other way. So that's what Kent need, one big over, swing the momentum back their way, but at the moment the game could be slipping away. 60 to win off 5, exactly 12 and over. Leaning and Rogers need something a bit special.
And the spin of Coles to come on to finish his spell. Fired in, just the one. And these two really are the last. Well, Rogers is a bowling all-rounder, but Kent are going to get over the line. You'd imagine it would have to be this pair.
And I think it's got to be this over. I do think that with the left arm spin, not that it's a lot of spin, it's a left arm drift. He's clever bowler, Coles. We didn't turn it much. Got to go now.
Well, he had it there. I think he'll be disappointed. Oh, and it's hit him on the way through, Rogers. I think he'll be disappointed he didn't get that one away to the boundary.
Yeah, well, I think Leaning's the man here. I think he'll be thinking about the slog sweep. It's his real strength in these situations. We've seen him deposit balls into the flat, so try and get across. So there's a misfield, that'll help.
Been a few this evening from Sussex. But again, speared in that time from Coles, not allowing Leaning to get underneath it.
Yeah, and that's what he's done well. When he tossed up, the Drummond got nailed through the covers. Pretty much everything else has been flat and with a bit of swing on it, with a drift.
That looked like the one to go for, if you ask me.
Yeah, that was in the slot. Maybe Rogers just thinking, well, if we can take this deep, if we can be 6 down with a couple of overs remaining, and then we can climb into it. I did get myself in, but that was in the slot.
Turned away off his pads for the 1. Singles so far in this over. Sussex will be the happier. Oh, something's going to have to happen off this. After this last ball.
Leaning, looking leg side. That's what he's eyeing up. Got to get the right ball, and Coles has stayed off his pads.
Oh, crunched. And that'll be 4. Much needed boundary for Kent. Wasn't through the leg side, but he still slapped that one away. Straight down the ground, 4 runs. Much, much needed. Yeah, no, good shot that from, strong shot from Leaning.
Yeah, nice strike. Kind of dragged it. He shut the face just to keep that trajectory down and nailed it flat. So welcome boundary, as you mentioned. The required rate was pushing up to 13.5. That 4 has brought it back down to 13. It's not insignificant, but with 4 overs remaining, Rogers perhaps able to hit downwind. But got Mills to allow him out the attack once again. 2 overs, he's bowled 1 over and off he goes. Mills changing things up. It's a beautiful slower ball from Tommy Mills. What he's become famous for. 90-mile-an-hour rockets and then big changes of pace. That can make you look daft as a batter. Doing a David Warner with the gloves, isn't he? Tom Rogers, it's become a bit of a thing.
Let's hope he turns into him the next 4 overs. Yeah, pressure on Leaning here. Once again, just the 1 of the first 2 deliveries for Mills over. Kent need 2 boundaries, do you think, at least, of the final 4 deliveries here. Do you play for the quicker ball here or the slower one when facing Mills?
Yeah, tricky. I don't think when someone's got the pace that Mills has got, it's very difficult to set yourself for the slower ball, because if you do and you get the quicker one, you can take your head off. And take his stumps out. Jack Leaning going for the slog sweep, maybe gambling on the off pace. It wasn't, it was the quick one. And Mills has his man. He is a gun bowler at this stage of an innings. Look at Chris Jordan, how well he bowled for Surrey. Well, Mills has similar experience, pedigree, and he has rearranged the furniture. So Leaning goes, and with him perhaps Kent's hopes. He just shuffled across, clears the front leg. It's a bit of a heave-ho, perhaps, as I say, gambling on the slower ball. And it was probably 86, 87 miles an hour, and it was gun barrel straight. Leaning's got to go for 16. The Spitfires faltering, 145 for 7. They still need another 51.
Yeah, not the most graceful looking shot that from Leaning. The pressure was building on him. He knew he had to hit the boundaries. As you say, a man with the T20 class of Mills probably could sense that. Didn't serve up the slower ball this time, and went quick and fast.
Yeah, so Mills is going to have another over after this. Danny Lamb's got 1 left. Crocom's got a couple, so plenty of options for the skipper.
Well, it's brought Clarkson out, as we know, one of my favourites. He's going to have to do, he might have to better his previous best to get Kent over the line here, or at least support Rogers and get him on strike and see what the Australian can do.
Can't have favourites.
Well,
they're all favourites.
It's true, but
you can have Kent as favourites.
Okay.
You can have all Kent players, but you can't have one player over another.
Wow.
I suppose you can, but you know, how do the others feel about that?
Well, if they keep hitting their high scores in front of me like Clarkson's been doing. Slow ball, that's just beautifully guided away there from Clarkson. Wonderful stuff.
Yeah, he's going to get himself in quickly and somehow find the boundary, but unless Rogers has a day out here, something extraordinary happens. I think the Sharks are going to pull further away from Kent. Remember, they started in 3rd position, Kent in 4th. Both on 18 points. Sussex played 1 game less.
They look a good outfit, don't they?
They do, yeah. They've got a lot of bases covered. They've got obviously all the left-handers, but they've got Coles, who's right-handed, who looks a class act. And you saw 4 balls of him today. Yeah. He got 12, 4 on a 6, or the highest Nice class indeed. Oh, he's gone. He is gone. He's been caught on the circle. That is how quick Timo Mills can bowl. He is a short third man, effectively, almost like a deep slip on the ring, and it has flown straight to him, and that is the end of Rogers. So, what a big over that is from the Sharks. Leaning bowled, Rogers caught at that kind of, you wouldn't even call him a fly slip. Fly slip's usually 3/4 of the way back to the boundary. That was just like a very deep slip, just a short third man on the ring. And when he edged it or guided it away, I thought we'd get 4 for that.
Looked a nice shot.
Yeah, and just a little bit of a glance, a little bit of a deflection away, and it ended up in the hands of Lamb, who's having a good game.
And if it wasn't before, that looks like that might be it for Kent. Perhaps a miracle.
Yeah, 1 or 2 people heading for the gates. I think they've seen enough. It's been Sussex have been the better side, in truth. It looked like they were going good guns with the bat, and with the exception of Finch, who's been excellent, and not quite get going with the bat either. So Klassen and Gilchrist just scramble what they can here. You never quite know whether net run rate is going to be a factor. It's pretty tight at the top, and if you get teams joined on points, maybe in 4th and 5th spot,
Yeah.
but, net run rate, you don't want to lose by a wide margin. That can
No, absolutely
be
not.
crucial. So yes, still things to play for, even if you can't get over the line. This one is clipped nicely in the gap from Klassen, and he's going to get 4, and that is what the Dutchman does,
Get him up the order.
putting the class into class.
Yeah, beautiful. But no, absolutely, there's still 16 balls left of this innings. Kent must use them. When it comes down to that run-in, as you said, those few home games, I'm sure that 3rd, 4th spot will be coming down to the run rate. Crucial Kent see this out.
If he does that for the remaining 16 balls, it'll be good enough for victory on this occasion. Robinson expensive, his first 3 overs costing 41, most expensive of the Sussex bowlers. I was sort of surprised that I went back to him.
Yeah, plenty of choices. McAndrew, of course Lamb. Crocombe's bowled well as well.
Yeah, I'd imagine that Lamb will bowl the next one from the pavilion end. Might not need the last one. He's going to drop safe.
Could be 2.
That's an extraordinary shot for 2. He gave that everything he had, Freddie Klassen. It was the bouncer from Robinson, swiveled on it, hit somewhere up near the stickers, and it went absolutely nowhere, and he got back for 2.
Or in other words, placed to perfection from Klassen there.
To place it over the rope.
Optimistic shout from box here. Someone's saying no ball, I heard. Fortunately not.
So 41 to win off 2. Required rate of 20.5 runs per over. What a win this would be. But looks like it's not going to be. Sussex Sharks have been excellent. 195 for 9 they posted, despite no one reaching 50. Good team effort, contributions all the way down. And with the ball, they look at a decent outfit. So many options. The box of tricks of Danny Lamb. You've got the pace of Mills, who is going to finish off here. So I think it might be Lamb from the Nackington Road to bowl the last. I don't see why you wouldn't. A little rocket Yorker from Mills. That's some misses. Just a reminder of what's coming up. Kent go to Cardiff on Sunday. Play Glamorgan, who are in the hunt for that 4th qualifying spot. Then it's back to Kent versus Sussex. The game at Hove is on Wednesday. Then 3 home games. Friday the 11th. Somerset, the table toppers, come to town. Then Middlesex, then Essex. It's a good slowie Oh, chance and missed. So Kent will hope that going into those last 2 games, they've got their own fate in their own hands. Because if you get Middlesex and Essex, you'd fancy your chances of beating those sides at home. But they're going to have to do some work before then.
Well, this Kent side are capable of beating any team in the competition. Proven recently, of course, against that win against Somerset. Wondering how that game finished, actually. From Somerset. Oh, yeah, pace on delivery again. Beating Gilchrist there.
It's experience from Mills, isn't it? If he knows pace on delivery, his pace against the tail ender.
Yeah.
You know, Gilchrist is a tail ender. He's a very decent bowler, and he can bat, but it is not his strongest suit. So don't mess around with the slower balls. Just go into the pitch at high 80s. Chances of Gilchrist getting any kind of bat on it, let alone a powerful strike on it, slim.
Surprised he's not got either a third or fine. In fact, if he's going pace on against the
I
tail.
think it's the bluff. He makes him think he's going to go slow. Yeah, I'd be pace on with one of those back.
Oh. As you say, if it comes down to those last 2 home games, I think Kent will be quietly confident, you know, great home support here. Get over the line, but yeah, they've got some work to do before then. To bounce back from this game. Wide given from Nigel Long, a bit reluctantly it seemed there.
He's always ignored wides like that. He really resents the extra ball. So can he bowl it straight? That is sharp from Mills. Excellent bowling. But, wasting his time with the slower balls against these tail enders, as I mentioned. We could chat with him actually, catch up in the winter. There was a chance to shine. 25 years a chance to shine, and he's very passionate about cricket in state schools, as am I. And we had a House of Lords we were invited to celebrate 20 years, of chance to shine. There's a lot of work for them. A good fella. So a bit of a thick edge. We'll run away possibly for a couple, yep. This will come back. Sussex look pretty content with their night's work. Mills has finished. A decent effort from him.
Last over coming up, Kent requiring 36. So there's a chance.
Yes, the flashing blade of Gilchrist. All these people leaving. Imagine if they get down the road, they look at their Cricket Info scorecards or their websites, the Kent website, the BBC website a little bit later. See the most extraordinary finish with Nathan Gilchrist. It's Danny Lamb for 6 sixes to win a game as they exited the ground. That's that then. That is that. Lamb has been excellent. Really have been impressed with him. Just haven't come to terms with the off-pace. I'm trying to think of Kent's off-pace deliveries and whether they've been quite as adept. I mean, there were cutters, but you generally pick a cutter out the hand. This looks like a knuckleball. We saw him do Joe Denley. He bangs it in.
Same thing.
And you think, at first glance, it just looks like a filthy long hop. Yeah. But it is deceptive, and it's because of the grip, because of, I think, that knuckleball grip. I could be wrong. So we're a long way away, but when the camera's kind of honed in on his grip, it looks like he's holding it to knuckleball grip. And Parkinson, who'll know all about Danny Lamb, having played with him for many years at Lancashire, probably faced him in the nets. Not sure that's going to do him too much good or give him too much of an advantage.
I don't think Parky will give his wicket away here.
He won't want to get out to Danny Lamb and give him a fifer.
Oh, beautifully played there. For one, Getting big Freddie Clarkson on strike. See what he can do. Where can he get us up to? Every run vital here, as we've been saying. Yeah, Danny Lamb, I do think in comparison to the Kent bowlers, it's these knuckleballs. I'm not sure if any of our lads have that in the lock or showcased it tonight. Again.
Yep, done by lack of pace.
Yeah. I think you'd play, like what we were saying before, but the other way around time was you play for the knuckleball with Lamb, and if it's...
Yeah, I think that's right. And it's, you know, it's obviously it's an easier game from our vantage point here than kind of high pressured in the middle. Always kind of caveat what we say with that, because it's a tough game. And we could all be experts here, and Lamb has his 5 for, and Sussex have their win. He has been excellent, as have the Sharks. They have bowled the Spitfires out for 161. That is a 34-run victory and a resounding one at that. Danny Lamb take a bow. 5 for him. 3 wickets for Tim Mills. And an all-round very strong performance. Just trying to see what Lamb's T20 figures are, what his best is in the end. In fact, yeah, best bowling in a match before today, 3 for 23. Well, he's taken 5 for, and his box of tricks has been too much for the Kent batters. Bamboozled Joe Denley, and he's picked up 4 others, many in similar vein. Bowls straight, bowls with deception, and he has been too good, as have the Sharks. But the Spitfires will fight on. Sunday they travel to Glamorgan and they're back at Hove. This reverse fixture in Somerset, Middlesex and Essex. And it's been that kind of campaign, Cameron, isn't it? You win one, you kind of get your hopes up, having won at Chelmsford and thinking, here we go, and then back down again. You can't string wins together, the Spitfires, and this is why they occupy mid-table and they're not at the top of things.
Yes, yeah, we're going to have to bounce back quickly on Sunday. I think really Billings and Adam Holyoke will be looking for a few more contributions from the middle order. I think it's evident, obviously, those 2 brilliant wins away against Somerset and Essex was set up by the openers, a ton in each game. And in this game, when they weren't able to contribute, yes, we had that remarkable innings, brilliant innings from Finch, his new high score. It was the middle order that couldn't quite drive it home, but you have to respect Sussex learned from their batting innings what to do on that wicket. Dig it in hard, take the pace off the ball, and Danny Lamb looked class above.
Yeah, his figures of 3.4 overs, 5 for 15, by far and away his best figures. And yeah, no one really got going other than Harry Finch, and we should have a word for Harry Finch, because you know, there are some good batters. Mayeye, Bill Drummond coming off hundreds in their previous matches, Joe Denley with all his experience, and Sam Billings, and yet it was the Harry Finch show for a while. He wouldn't be necessarily a standout name in that top order, but he played quite beautifully. 56 off 26, 5 4s, 4 6s. There are only 5 6s hit in the innings. Sam Billings hit 1, Finch hit the other 4. He hit 5 boundaries as well and looked really good, and he'll be hoping he'll cement his place at number 3. The likes of Ben Dawkins will probably come into the equation as well. Recently taken on a rookie deal. He can hit a mighty ball, the England under-19 man. So no doubt he will be in consideration for these remaining fixtures. But yeah, Finch has done his calls a lot of good with that 56. But ultimately, Kent have fallen short. Mayeye made just 7, Drummond 26, the 56 from Finch, and then the next top scores are actually Billings with 16 and Leaning with 16. 3 for Denley, 11 for Everson, 11 for Clarkson. To Danny Lamb, the star of the show, 5 for 15. So big thanks to our sponsors, Cluberly, for bringing the stream coverage to you. Cameron Emmanuel Burns, thank you to him, and thank you to Min Patel as well, who showed up for a large chunk of the first innings. Good to see Min the spin doing a fine job with the lads coming through in the academy and the pathway, and hopefully we'll see a few of them in action in the next year or two, or even perhaps the next game or two, because there are some good ones who are ready to roll. But Sussex have won here. They've won here by 34 runs, and obviously for all the post-match reaction, look at our social media streams, and we will see you in a week's time when Somerset come to town next Friday. But from myself and Cameron, we'll bid you good night.